Welcome to another episode of the Intrigue Dynamite Show. You should hit that subscribe button, like and share.
Oh yeah! Let's get into it. Intrigue Dynamite Live, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Dynamite Zone. You already know who this is, and you already know what time it is. Time for some narrative correction, time for some digging, some introspection. As usual, as you make your way in, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button if you haven't, and be sure to be active to override the algorithm by sharing and commenting. As usual, let's calm this music down. Shh. Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dynamite Zone. I am your host, Intrigue Dynamite. Now, as you make your way in on this beautiful, introspective afternoons, evening, wherever you are. So y'all probably saw the, some of y'all that are fans of the Superfly series, y'all probably checked that out. I posted a new Superflies episode earlier today. Essentially, it was talking about, he was addressing the 50 Cent with his son debacle. So I thought maybe I should have given some more context, because there are probably people that didn't even know about the whole child support debacle with 50 Cent and his son, with his son essentially saying that $6,700 a month amounted to essentially nothing. So yeah, so that was the context of that. So y'all be sure to check that out. Now, we've been checking out Kanye West, and Kanye West, beginning with Kanye West's interview with Drink Champs, and then we went on to discuss some further matters that took place during that interview. Well, he did an interview with none other than Piers Morgan. Those of y'all who don't know, Piers Morgan, he's the person right there on the left on the thumbnail. And as you can see, ego versus ego. This is something that I definitely want to see how this one plays out, because Piers Morgan and Kanye West are both known for loving to talk, almost like they like to hear themselves talk. And when I hear Piers Morgan, when I watch some of his interviews, I notice that he likes to cut people off a lot. So I would like to see how this turns out. All of the cigar smokers, I've been getting asked, what are you smoking? Okay, this is a Placencia Alma Fuerte. This is a 6x60. So y'all can check that out if y'all are into cigars. Okay. Now, I like to, there are some people that really like to, have a long monologue. They like to, really talk a whole bunch. I hate that. So I like to get right into the subject matter. Shout out to Boys Watkins. Hint, hint. So, let's go. Let's go straight over to the video so we can just see what happened, what took place during this interview. This is my first time seeing it. And if it's your first time seeing it, well, then we're going to analyze this together. So let's go on this journey. Okay. So here we got Kanye West. He has his 2024 hat on. Let's get into it.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed for joining Piers Morgan Uncensored. My first question for you, I guess, is an obvious one. What do you hope to achieve from our conversation?
That right there, being uncensored. In American media, it's very censored. It feels like an episode of Black Mirror a lot of times. So I've put myself across the line, the point of no return, saying, hey, I know.
Wonder what he mean, Black Mirror. Okay, I think I know what he's talking about. I think I accidentally saw that mess. Yeah, they had some strange episodes. Here we go.
I know they're going to say whatever they want about me. And when I bring up the truth, they're going to say, you didn't get enough sleep. It's because of your health. They're going to call me names for my truth. But these experiences that I'm telling you about are factually things that I've went through and things that I refuse to keep going through and things that I'm not going to let my children go through and things that I'm not going to let my peers go through. No pun intended.
Well, look, we are most certainly uncensored on this show, and I want to give you the time and the platform to really explain yourself, because I think that sometimes sound bites about people, perhaps taken out of context sometimes, can create a very distorted view of what a person really thinks. What do you think, looking back over the last few weeks in particular, what do you think have been the biggest misconceptions about you?
Well, I think there's a left agenda to silence anyone that goes against the agenda.
A left agenda to silence anyone that goes against the agenda. Well, there's more than that. It's just not on the left, but here we go.
Let's go back to Trump running for office back in 2015. Everyone that was around me in my industry, in the entertainment industry, told me that my life would be over. I would be on the wrong side of history. I've even had threats to my life for wearing the Trump hat. And it even ended up in, destroying my family and also making it where I have to raise my children differently because I actually am a person that's classified as black.
Pause. Yeah. Here's something that I noticed. See, with the whole red hat, I don't understand why black people, or people in general, just overreacted to that hat. And even Kanye West wearing the hat, I don't even understand why people overreacted to it. I'm not bothered by. I'm not going to wear the doggone hat. But a lot of people really put a whole bunch of, they gave it too much energy. I'm like, it's not that important. And I have actually, I've seen some black people, they really get very upset if they see another black person wearing that hat. And my thing is, okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. What does the hat represent that was, so detrimental to black society that was not taking place under the Obama administration or any administration before then? I don't get it. But anyway, here we go.
I classify myself as Jew, but a person that's classified that had been given that title in America as black, in America, that I'm supposed to stay in a block of a vote. You never heard the term white vote. So why is there a term black vote? How is that okay? It sounds just as racist as a black drinking fountain. And my dad, called me and said, the thing that the left
we have heard of white vote
fear about Ye or makes me the most dangerous is I'm rich. And that's the point.
Pause, wait. No, I can't let him get away with that statement. We have heard of the white vote. And the white vote, especially, that term became very prominent when Obama was running for office. Because I recall that when there were a lot of black people celebrating, talking about, yeah, we got him in office, I saw some white people that were very uncomfortable with that narrative. So they really were talking about, well, you understand that the black people couldn't get him in office by themselves. So the white vote, and then they were focusing on the white vote and how the white vote actually contributed as well to Obama getting in office. But before then, he probably has a point. But here we go.
Tupac told me back in the days, you had to get your money right and then you go to war. So I'm going to war. I don't have endless resources. I only have honestly only maybe $120 million in my account. But what I'm not going to let happen is I'm not going to let my kids take over Yeezy someday and have a boardroom telling them what to do and talking behind their back. I'm not going to let that happen to my children. So I have to fight right now. And the other powerful icons in black music, when they were at the top of the game, they didn't fight at that point. They were too afraid of losing whatever they had. So by the time they wanted to make a difference, by the time Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, he didn't have the Cosby Show at that time to be able to stand up when they wanted to literally throw him in jail, where they actually did throw him in jail. So people have to understand just the bravery. There's so many people.
Pause. Yeah. See, now that whole Bill Cosby situation, now, yeah, that was a bunch of bull. That was bull crap. Listen, say what you want to say, but look at the legal system. Look at how that entire legal system essentially, screwed him over. I don't really care whose side you're on. Let's just remove names. Let's remove fame. And let's just look at the facts. Yeah, that was crazy. Because anytime the Supreme Court comes in there and says, "Yeah, this is some bull crap. Yeah, this is some funny business going on over there," and they overturn it. Yeah, it goes to show. Look. Yeah, there are games being played, and that when there are people that used to be very prominent people. Look. The name of the game, if you don't know, go ahead and check out that show I did called Media Tactics, the 3 media tactics I forget how the 3 media tactics to destroy any narrative, something like that. It's in the archive. So go and check that out, where I spoke about demonizing, then eliminating, demonize, ostracize, then eliminate is typically the order that things go in. So yeah, that right there, Bill Cosby was that was very unfair. But anyway, without further ado, let me hear.
Everywhere, I know everyone can relate to being afraid to say what you're gonna feel because you feel like you're gonna lose something. So whether you agree with me or not, I believe people are going to feel the fact that someone is brave enough to say something. Every day I do 5 things that people have been historically killed for. Every day. And it's just, I want to prove, first of all, I am Jew also. The 12 lost tribes of Hebrew. Do the math. Do your research.
Pause. That's 12 lost tribes of Israel, not Hebrew. But okay, I get it. Yeah, that's kind of what we addressed in the show before. Yeah, he needs someone right there with him on his side to kind of correct some of these gaffes. But here we go.
On it, we have got our culture ripped from us and then told we were just simply void of color, which is another definition for black. But if we knew we were a culture and knew we were a people, the way the Jewish people know, then we wouldn't abort ourselves. We wouldn't shoot each other dead in the streets and then rap about it. We wouldn't brag about, having sex with each other's wives. We would keep our families together and we would.
You think there was a dig at Ray J? But he's actually, he's spitting some church talk here. Here we go.
Do business together. The most dangerous place for a black person in America is actually in our mother's stomachs, because 50% of black deaths a year in America is abortion.
Wow. The most dangerous place for a black person in America is in their mother's wombs. Is there any validity to this statement right here? Now, I'll say, okay, when you look at where the deaths are taking place, yeah, that makes sense. But I won't say that the most dangerous place for a black person in America, because first of all, these people are going to have to look. We know that that's a human being in there, but they're going to they're still debating on whether or not it is a person that's inside of her womb. Well, it's like one person will be like, well, that's not the most dangerous place for a black person because that assumes that that's a person in her stomach, as you put it. Well, I get what he's saying. And yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer that baby is a person. But is that the most dangerous place? That's an interesting point. Here we go.
Currently. I mean, I can keep going, but I want to make it, hey, boom, ask me questions, let's go.
I don't want to jump in too much because here's what I honestly think. I think you have an extraordinary mind. You have a number of extraordinary talents. You're a musical genius. You're a fascinating public figure. What has been interesting to me is to watch the furore which has erupted in the last few weeks over a series of statements that you've made, which have caused, as you know, a lot of offence. And I guess before I get into them, I'm just curious as to whether you think there is a line for free speech. Listen, I completely agree with you that there is a war against free speech, that people are treading on eggshells all the time, terrified of expressing honestly held opinions in case they get cancelled. I think we're living in a really insidious era where liberals are behaving like fascists. So on that, you have absolutely my agreement. But my question for you is, do you believe there are limits to free speech? And if they are, what are they?
There are no limits to free speech. It's all context, right? Tarantino can write a movie about slavery where actually him and Jamie, they got the idea from me because the idea for Django, I pitched to Jamie Foxx and Quentin Tarantino as the video for Gold Digger. And then Tarantino turned it into a film. But in that film, he puts a context, he creates a context where Leonardo DiCaprio is allowed to use the word multiple times within that context. So Hollywood's job is to frame things, and they allow what context, what content is accepted and what's not. We have our thoughts. Everyone has thoughts and ideas, and then people try to manipulate your thoughts and ideas. In order for humanity to move forward, we have to be free to think and then to actualize. I like the word actualize better than execute. If you think about execute's a negative word, actualize to be more positive, except for the fact that it has the word act in it, and everyone's an actor, especially in Hollywood. I'm like top 5 writers in human history, so I really get into the power of words, and I feel very akin to.
Yeah, well, the power of words, I'm gonna say execute is stronger than actualize. But yeah, if you're talking about the power of words based off of the sensitivity of the current state of the people in the West, a whole bunch of very sensitive people, then you're in a you're in a space where you have to be careful with your words. And I'm not talking about, just being careful with, like, not cursing. No, you even have to be careful with what you're talking about. Goodness gracious. It's like you can't even ask certain questions today, like, what is a woman and things like that. But anyway, I believe that execute is stronger than actualize. But here we go.
Capote, Freud, Nikola Tesla, Da Vinci, Matisse, more Matisse than Picasso, more African cubism than Matisse. So I just do that. I throw out that kind of for the liberals. And that's the funny thing. It's like liberals
let me hold you up on that.
Me.
On Matisse, when you say you're more Matisse than Picasso, as somebody who's a fan of Matisse and Picasso, actually, I spent a lot of time in Saint-Tropez where they all used to paint together. Why do you say Matisse? What is it about Matisse that you feel an affinity with?
I feel like Drake is more Picasso and Ye is more Matisse.
This is rich people talk, guys. So just bear with them.
When we talked about, when me and Drake went to do the show last year for prison reform and to bring awareness to the incarceration of Larry Hoover, I sent him articles about the relationship of Matisse and Picasso and the need for these people. You need to have that. I need to go into the bar and go to Starbucks. That's that's a form of a modern day bar, right? And just hear Drake's song playing back to back. And Drake needs to go into that same Starbucks just in a different city and see people wearing Yeezys. And
Okay, stop, pause, listen. Okay, this is distracting me. Can anybody tell me who lines up Kanye's mustache, please? Who is his barber? What's going on here? Come on, Kanye, man. Look, hey, is what it is. But yeah, that's very distracting to me. Here we go.
it puts us both back into the studio. And, God sets up these almost similar characters, these doppelgangers. It makes me really realize God has a sense of humor. Like, why is John Galliano and Mark Jacobs the exact same human being, just placed in a different place? Or why does God have it where Bernard Arnault cannot purchase Gucci, not even through the Chinese market? God does this to remind us that we are not God. Because when you take people like Elon Musk and Bernard Arnault and Trump or Jack Ma, Putin, you take these people in their own space, in their own environments, we can start to feel like gods on earth, but we are nothing in comparison to God. And we are here actually to love one another and to collaborate and to make the world a better place. There's, 1% of the world are placed in power and 99% of the world are the audience. So that 1% of the world, this idea of a United Nations, this is the world that needs to come together. This is the world that, here's the obvious go-to. Biden doesn't listen to Elon Musk. The president of the United States does not have meetings with Elon Musk. That is, hey, here, come get me. That's retarded. I know.
Yeah. Whatever happened to saying that? Retarded. You remember that? You remember how popular that was back in the day? Until the word police came out and essentially shut it down. Nobody had. Well, okay. When I was coming up, when we said it, I could understand how sensitive, that could be, especially if you're dealing with someone, with any sort of mental incapacity or how do you say it, mentally challenged or whatever the proper way that people say it today. But, that used to be very, very, very popular. But anyway, here we go.
I'm not supposed to say that, Biden, but that's retarded, Biden.
Yeah.
And it's, and obviously, because I've been dealing with mental health, all this, I have the right to use whatever words that I like to use.
Well, that's interesting.
Ask another question.
Well, yeah, let me ask you on that. So
Wow.
you just said something very inflammatory about President Biden. It will, as you know, offend a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it will particularly offend people who work in mental health. You say you should not use a word like retarded.
But who says you should not? See that right there? That really gets on my nerve. You should not. Listen, I believe this. You can say whatever it is that you want to say. Yeah. But just know that there are consequences. And what are those consequences? Not that you'll be canceled or anything like that. See, that I think is a whole bunch of nonsense. I think that, the consequence is whomever it is that you're speaking with, you'll have to deal directly with them or just be able to back it up when people come to confront you about it, right? Just be able to back it up. But just take someone's entire livelihood behind it, well, yeah. That is problematic, or as Kanye West would say, that's retarded. Here we go.
But you say that because you yourself have had mental health issues, that entitles you to use that kind of word as an insult. Now, I would say that's an arguable point.
I've had my issue is I've had mental health allegations.
So do you believe that you have any form of mental illness?
I believe that I suffered from exhaustion.
That was a trap right there. That was a trap question that he was asking Kanye. Kanye is justifying using the word retarded. So Piers is then asking him, so you're saying that you can use it because of the mental health allegations. Do you believe that you had mental health problems? If he says no, then it's like, well, then why are you using the word then? So that was a trap question, but here we go.
I believe that I suffered from exhaustion. I suffered from being lied to constantly by the people around me. And I believe those things can drive anyone to a point of maximum exhaustion. But I also believe that I'm extremely brilliant and I'm here to make the world a better place. And I'm tired of the left media trying to pick on me. And y'all picked on me enough. And y'all finally touched.
Oh, he said y'all. He's making it personal. He's talking directly to Piers Morgan right now. Uh-oh. Here we go. Notice, all throughout this entire interview, Kanye West was looking to the right, looking to the left, looking down. But now he's looking directly at the camera. Look at his eyes. This is a man that is pissed. Uh-oh. Here we go.
The person that's not going to take it anymore. And that's part of the reason why I'm on Uncensored, because what they'd like is for me to be quiet. Interesting thing about racism and cancel culture, it's kind of similar, right? Racism works on itself. I can go into the Gucci store at age 18 and I just assume that people think that I'm about to steal, so I buy more things. With cancel culture, when I brought Marilyn Manson on stage with me when he was dealing with allegations, my stepbrother Marilyn was canceling himself. So many people comment on my White Lives Matter t-shirt. There's people who are saying right there in Fashion Week, when are you going home? I'm so afraid. People thought I was going to cancel myself. I'm not going to cancel myself. I'm going to keep on delivering what I feel, because guess what? It's very split opinions, by the way. If I talk to a black person that makes under $1 million a year, they really relate to the George Floyd comments and feel hurt that I would even bring it up and question the approach.
Yeah, because a lot of people know where you got that narrative from. And so a lot of people, that was problematic. So I get it. But, all of this lawsuit crap, in my opinion, that's like, what the hell are you doing? But here we go.
They have multiple documentaries on the death of JFK, but we're just supposed to believe this one media outlet version that preyed on our trauma and our pain. And then if I talk to rich black people or white people, Jew or Catholic or atheist, they're really into the Jewish media comment because it affects their business interests.
Okay, well, look,
and it was really interesting.
Let me just pick you up on the two things you've mentioned. The first one is what you said about George Floyd. And the reality of that, it's not a media interpretation of how he died, because the Hennepin County Chief Medical Examiner concluded that Floyd died from cardiopulmonary arrest. His heart stopped, complicated by the way the police restrained him and compressed his neck. Now, he also said there were other contributing conditions.
Wait.
Well, hang on, let me finish. There were other contributing conditions, narrowed arteries, high blood pressure, and fentanyl intoxication. But although these were significant conditions, he said, and things that played a role in the death, they didn't directly cause the death. The cause of death was what that policeman did with his knee to George Floyd.
Person?
Well, why would a coroner lie?
What makes you believe that?
Why would a coroner lie?
Because he could get paid to lie. Because he could get paid to lie. Because
but
he's
I
watched it.
I watched it for 8 minutes.
Really? I don't think. Listen, usually the coroner would be probably on board if there was someone to pay him. What makes you think the family of George Floyd is like, hey, look, man, we got something underneath the table, bro. Here, what we gonna do? we're going to pay you a couple of dollars so that you can really. If there was anyone that had the bag to pay the coroner, it would be anyone that has the best interest of the police officer at heart. They'll pay him to say fentanyl. So yeah, this doesn't even make any sense. Like where Kanye West is trying to direct it. I don't know. Here we go.
Majority of the press.
Right, but I watched it for 8 minutes.
Now tell me this: have you seen the Candace Owens BLM documentary?
I have watched some of that documentary, but here's what I would say to you. When you watch that video of George Floyd...
No, it's not a but. It's not.
Well, I haven't watched the whole thing.
I need you to watch.
I know.
Okay,
I know what you said about... I know Candace.
I'm going to finish. La, la,
It's all right.
La.
You don't
okay,
have
you
to
know
do
what
that.
Means.
It's fine. I know what it means.
La, la, la means...
Wait till I get my money right. Listen, whatever. Check this out. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna check out this documentary, but what better documentary than the one that was right there in our face? I mean, the people are screaming, saying, "Dude, you got your knee on his neck." All of this, everything that's happening right there in the moment. That's interesting. Now, I could do, there are plenty of documentaries that could be done. I mean, we saw 9/11 spoken about ad nauseum. So many different documentaries, all right? I mean, but then there are things that we saw with our eyes, like Building 7 falling. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, here we go. Let's hear him out.
Be quiet and let me finish.
Oh, but you did interrupt my question.
Right, so with the BLM, no, I wasn't finished. You're pressing agenda. You haven't seen the whole thing.
I don't have an agenda.
Piers Morgan has met his match. He has met the yappy Kanye. Goodness gracious. How you going to get, you know how when people say, man, you and my friend, y'all will get along because y'all are just alike. That is a lie. Two people that are alike do not get along very well. When you have two people that love to talk, one is going to get tired of the other. Typically a listener and a talker get along a lot better. But these two love to talk. So I'd like to see how the fireworks are going to fly when you have two people that are alpha talkers. Here we go.
I just read you what the coroner said.
So we can have 20 different perspectives on how JFK died, but us as black people, not only can we only vote one way, we're not allowed to have any other perspectives, and that the area for George Floyd, where he passed, the murder rate is up 50%, and nothing, this is so-called movement, but it didn't move blacks anywhere.
Right, now listen.
So as a black person.
I will say there are legitimate questions about the Black Lives Matter movement, no question. But on the specific point about how George Floyd died, I don't think it's in question about what actually killed him. It was that police officer with his knee on his neck.
Well, it isn't question. It isn't question. I'm questioning it.
Well, you can
as
question
a black
it, but
person
what you're questioning is a coroner report.
Do you have friends that were killed by police officers? Do you have friends that were locked up? Do you have people aborting half your race? No. So I am the black person with the black experience that's worth $11 billion and is the most influential person on the planet.
Wait a minute, dude. Look, now, Israel Adesanya pulled this thing when Joe Rogan was facing a little backlash, and he pulled this, well, I'm the black person. Listen, stop this nonsense. Nobody elected you the black spokesperson. I mean, come on. Let's not pretend like there ain't some straightening out that has become from the black community toward Kanye West. So let's not use that. You are a majority of one. You speak for Kanye. The only way that you speak for the people is if they agree and you form a collective. But let's keep going.
And I am questioning it.
Okay.
I have a right to question it.
Absolutely.
You can't tell me with your accent that me as an American Jew black person that I cannot question that death and question the means behind that was put on camera.
I'm not saying you
to
can't
traumatize. I'm not finished. La 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 means let me finish.
Okay.
I'm not finished talking.
Oh boy.
So I cannot see because you distract my thoughts.
Oh, can you imagine what it was like for Kim to be married to this guy? Both of them together. Oh man, Here we go.
And then you try to make me look like a crazy person, and you feel you have the right to cut me off, and I've proven you guys don't want it with me. This is like Terminator 20. You've never seen this before. You've never seen this before, so I want no one to play with me. I have the right to question because that videotape was used to traumatize my people and force us into the Democratic vote. Hey, George Soros, you're a real competitor. I respect you. I'm worth more money than you.
Stop, please. Okay, wait a minute. Look, this is getting annoying. I'm noticing him using the money argument. Listen, the value of your bank account does not enhance the value of your argument unless the argument is talking about big bank take little bank. You know, I can't walk up to someone and say, "Hey, listen, vote for Jimmy John." Well, I don't want to vote for Jimmy John. I want to vote for Willy Wonka. Well, look, how much money you got in your pocket? $10. Look, I got 100. So who are you going to believe? You or me? Look, the amount of money in your pocket does not enhance the value of your argument. So, you know, that right there is problematic. Cut that nonsense out. Here we go. And I'm sure it's going to come up again.
And I have more influence than you, and have, Piers Morgan from a different country saying, well, I'm not going to do an English accent because that would be racist. I'm funny, by the way.
That's fine.
This man is feeling himself, ain't he? Here we go.
You can do that. As I said to you, the show is uncensored, Ye. You can say what the hell you like, right? But that doesn't mean I can't pick you up on a few.
It wouldn't be racist. That would be more culturalist, cultural appropriation. Because there are a lot of black people, Anthony Joshua, Idris Elba, these guys have that accent. But so, yeah, it'll be more culturalist or cultural appropriation. Here we go.
Things, right? You accept that?
I accept that, but you try to say it is unquestionable because this one Dr. Fauci said this. I know it wasn't Dr. Fauci, but I'm just giving an example where we hear from even Google. Like, people feel like, if you Google it, it's factual. There's so much non-factual information about me on Google, but then I still believe Google. And people pay to get certain information to the top of Google. But that's
very true. Very, very, very true.
This is good. Keep going. Where else you want to go with it?
You don't know how many people. Listen, I'm in the fields of mechanics and engineering. Do you understand how many people that I have debated with? I mean, people that sit and watch a YouTube video and then come back to me trying to tell me, and I'm like, look, okay, all right, go ahead, you Googled it. Okay, yeah, so I guess that is more than my 20-something years of experience. Get out of my face. But anyway, here we go.
Here's where I want to go. The civil rights lawyer Lee Merritt responded to what you said about George Floyd's death and said, while one cannot defame the dead, the family of George Floyd is considering suit, which they're now doing, as you know, they're suing you for $250 million, for Ye's false statements about the manner of his death, claiming Floyd died from fentanyl, not the brutality established criminally and civilly, undermines and diminishes the Floyd family's fight. So what is your response to that?
Well, anybody who loses a loved one, my heart goes out to them. Any race, my heart goes out to the pain of that. I have a theory about it. Now, this is not a fact. This is a feeling that I have. In the documentary, George Floyd's two roommates said that George kept saying, they want a tall guy like me. They want a tall guy like me. So for me, I'm a creative, right? I can make a dinosaur out of a femur, right? So if I'm making a dinosaur out of a femur and I'm looking at a documentary that says George Floyd was telling his two roommates they want a tall guy like me, and on the day of his death, he prayed for 8 minutes. They said he prayed longer than he ever prayed. What do you think, me as a creative mind, the beautiful mind, right, the sensitive mind, what do you think I feel could have happened in that situation?
All right. Well, honestly, if I'm being honest
What do you think I feel could have happened? Okay, whatever. Here we go.
with you, I would say that because of your brilliant, beautiful, creative mind, as you put it, and I don't dispute that at all, you've got an extraordinary mind. And I can
Very
see that
creative.
in the way that you conduct interviews. You go off on very long tangents, but they're sort of fascinating. I find it fascinating to listen to you. I'm not saying you don't have a right to question.
Sort of, quite. These are like Capote-level fascinating tangents.
No, they're not. They're not.
Stop it, dude. Look, hey, bro, look, man, look. When you're the smartest person in the room, sometimes you're in the wrong room. Here we go.
I'm just saying it's the way you conduct yourself, and I think that's very interesting.
What do you mean? Or not? Why is it? Oh, it's not Capote level.
Actually,
black man
I
can't
think
be
you
Capote level.
If you
sort of.
If you would like me to compare you to Truman Capote, I am happy to do that. Yay. If you want to be known as the new Capote, I'm with you. Okay. I'm not going to question your talent. Your talent to me is completely unquestionable. Right. When you question
answer
here's
the
my
question
point.
about the femur to the dinosaur.
No, I'm going to ask you a different question.
Situation.
I'm just going to ask you this.
You're not. You're gonna. No, I didn't finish my question.
Well, hang on. You can't tell me.
Answer my question.
You can't
first.
tell me what questions to ask.
Kanye, you being a big baby. Okay, stop this nonsense, man. Okay, Kanye wants to go in there and run your show for you. Look, calm down, Capote, dinosaur femur. Let the man conduct the interview. Here we go. Well, let's see how this turns out.
Ask you. You accept that I'm the interviewer?
To answer my question. No, I said answer my question. No, I'm interviewing you too.
Well, you can't interview me. It's my interview.
You're Bono. I'm interviewing you too. See, that's the way we rap.
Let me just.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Let me just put this to you.
So no.
Hang on.
You're trying to avoid.
No. La. To put quite a
Good
phrase.
one.
You're interrupting me now.
Good one.
I'm going to get back to it.
All right, you can, but let me ask you.
Because you haven't answered my question.
Here's my question for you, which you haven't answered.
No, I'm not. Don't answer my question with a question.
Yeah.
I'm not answering anything to you.
I'm going back to my
He's being
original
a baby.
question in a way.
He's being a baby and he's getting confused. That's why he closed his eyes. Typically, when you know that there's a whole bunch of bull crap on the horizon and you're still trying to maintain, you close your eyes. It's like your mom. Those of us that have black mothers, when she closes her eyes, she's in the middle of frustration. Oh, yeah, Kanye is getting a little bit frustrated. He's trying to maintain his composure. But here we go.
Which is simply this. I'm not saying you don't have a right to question how George Floyd died, but given the world watched that horrifying video of that policeman's knee on his neck, and given that is what the coroner said caused his death, albeit he had other underlying conditions, including fentanyl intoxication, when the family see someone like you, who's hugely influential, you're known around the world, questioning how their loved one died, they find that very hurtful, which is why they're now suing you for it. And my question for you is, do you understand the pain that sometimes your comments can cause, like this circumstance with George Floyd's family?
Now, I'm going to ask you a question again. With my imagination, when you see in the documentary that George Floyd's two roommates said they want a tall guy like me, they want a tall guy like me, and that he prayed extra long on the day of his passing, where do you think that takes my beautiful mind?
I think it can take you to a place where you want to believe something which may not be true. I'm not saying it's not.
I bet you he's thinking that the man wanted to die. That's what he's trying to say. Here we go.
Saying all the evidence points.
I'm
giving you an honest answer. My honest answer.
Either that or sacrifice. Some weird conspiracy theory. Here we go.
Is I think that
that wasn't honest. That was a political collect.
My honest belief is that.
What do you guys do? People in the newsroom, what are they doing? They're like cringing right now. They're like, whoa.
No.
We never experienced this before.
We
never experienced
I'm not cringing.
A black entertainer that won't be threatened by the media to back down from his opinion.
Yeah, I think you mistake me. You mistake me for somebody who's going to be like the others. I have a show called Uncensored for a reason. I'm giving you a platform for a reason.
But you're pressing an agenda.
No, I'm not. You're perfectly entitled to your
pressing your
opinions.
agenda.
But do you accept
You're
you
lying
may,
now.
Do you accept you may not always be right?
I just called you a liar. How does that make you
That's
feel?
fine if you think I'm a liar. That's fine.
Did that bother Kanye? Because now he's turning into a kindergartner. Now Kanye, he's just trolling. He's being a big baby. It's like, come on, man. Listen, bro, you could be brilliant and actually make your This is not presidential to me. You got on your hat, talk about you running for office, but you're being a baby right now. Here we go.
No, you're a liar. You're pressing the agenda of the pain and trauma economy that is pressed on my people by the left.
Actually, the trauma I think that was implemented to George Floyd was from a vile white racist police officer who kneed him to his death. And I agree with the coroner's findings because I don't see any reason why the coroner would invent that. So that's my belief. If you want to challenge that and you don't believe it, that's entirely your right.
I have a question. Who do you think are the biggest vile white racist? The media.
You think the media is racist?
Look at Kanye West's face.
What? Please, next question. Please don't ask me any retarded.
Yeah, that would be relegated to the retarded category. Here we go.
Questions.
Okay, let me go to the next furore, which has been around you in the last couple of weeks, which is your attacks.
Is that British for theory? Is that British for theory? What's theory, bro? Is that British for theory?
You actually have quite a good British accent. That's quite good. Let me ask you, if I can, about the...
Sometimes you can disarm a troll by utilizing charm. Here we go. Kanye West is trolling a little bit. Let's see where it goes.
Allegations that you have made anti-Semitic comments. And in particular, when you said on Instagram, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Now, many people who are Jewish found that deeply offensive. They wanted to know, what did you mean by going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? Because DEFCON 3, as you know, is a heightened state of awareness for military action. So what did you mean by that?
It actually is DEFCON stands for defense condition. It's a term used to protect yourself. And the importance of protecting yourself, or it raises, it gets higher and higher depending on how imminent the threat is. But DEFCON actually means, to get ready to protect yourself. That's kind of what it is. That's kind of what it means. But anyway, here we go.
Here's your chance to clarify what you meant by DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Well, thank you for allowing me to say what I meant due to the fact that I was blocked by Jewish people after I said that. So I wasn't actually allowed to say what I was about to say. But what I was going to say is I was going to talk about all of the contracts, all of the misdealings that I dealt with as an entertainer. Being that I'm an entertainer, I've been wronged so many times by Jewish businessmen. And the reason why I say people, if a black man is caught in the car with drugs or a gun, and there's 3 other black guys in the car with him, guess what? They're all going to jail. So the reason why I say people is I want those businessmen's wives and fathers, mothers, grandmothers, and kids to ask them, why is Ye so mad at us? Because they're taking money out of my children's mouths and putting it into their children's mouths. I'll give you this parallel and this analogy.
What makes you think that? What makes you think that there's? Okay, I'm going to save that. Here we go.
If you take, I just talked to Irina Shayk, right? And if you look at a picture of her at age 14, this person is beautiful, like one of the most beautiful people that God has ever created, right? And if any man did her wrong at a young age, she would get to the point where maybe she would actually hate men. You've heard that terminology, right? So I'm at a point where I'm frustrated. I have the right to my anger, and I'm saying that people need to fix it. I'm not going to fix what I feel until what I'm feeling is fixed.
Okay, can I respond?
You're not just going to shut me up and say...
No, I'm not going to shut you up. Can I respond to what you just said?
That was weird. Wait, hold up. I'm not going to fix what I feel till what I'm feeling is fixed? Huh? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could analyze that a little bit, but I don't want to hold it up. Here we go. What the?
My problem with what you've said, I'll be straight with you, is that if I, as a white man, posted tomorrow on my Instagram, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on black people, what would you think?
Jew.
No, if I said black people, what would you think? If that was what I posted.
Well, did you accept that black people?
That's funny.
You accepted that black people are Jew, or
No, I'll come to that in a
Okay, Kanye West is being very confusing right now. Now Kanye West he's not following his own logic. Piers Morgan just got finished saying, if I were to say that, if I were to post that I'm going DEFCON 3 on black people, what would you think, Kanye West? His immediate reaction was Jew. But then turns around and said, do you believe black people are Jew? So are you saying that you would believe that Piers Morgan was a black person? Is that what you're saying? See, Kanye West, he's really conflating the Jewish narrative. Okay, on one hand, you're saying that you are that, but then if Piers Morgan did that, then he would be that. So therefore, it's very confusing. So it seems like he has two different contexts, two different things in his mind, that when he uses it as his argument and his argument or point of contention and his own identifier, it really muddies up his message. It's like, okay, dude, pick a message, refine it, and then put it out there, because right now there's too many holes in it. And when there's this many holes, you give too much room to just debunk, dismiss everything that you have to say, even if what you have to say may be very beneficial or even have poignant points. These sorts of gaffes can relegate it to the trash bin. This is how it is on a political scale, like, at the national scale. It's too easy to rip you apart. Here we go.
Moment. On the specific, though, if I simply said, in other words, all black people was the implication of what I said, I would get rightly cancelled. I would get rightly vilified and abused. You, I suspect, would be outraged by a white person saying such a thing, because you wouldn't make any distinction about whether I was talking about certain black business people I'd fallen out with or whatever. You would think I was judging an entire populace by the colour of their skin. You are, by saying Jewish people, on Jewish people.
I agree.
You're not saying Jewish businessmen, accountants, whatever, that you've had a problem with.
That's what I addressed in the last stream and the stream before, is being precise. Precise. That way you don't give room for people to dismiss what you have to say. But here we go. I agree with Piers here. Here we go.
You're basically saying in that statement, all Jewish people, which is why it caused such offence. And I'm curious whether you, even as you wrote those words, understood what Jewish people actually would feel when you said that, and didn't make any specific references to any individuals.
Maybe they would feel how all my people have felt.
Stop. Now, I get what he wants to say. But don't use that, dude. Don't use that argument. I know where you're going with this. there's a time to use that argument, and that is when there's comparative suffering and things like that. But come on, don't use the history of our ancestors and us to justify your lack of being precise. But anyway, here we go. Let's hear him out.
Maybe they would feel the pain of when a black artist looks up and they've completely been raped by 5 Jewish businessmen.
Okay, talking about
and there's
himself.
multiple accounts.
Okay.
Why does the
of
fact
this
that they're
happening.
Jewish have anything
Maybe
to
they
do
would
with it?
feel like that.
But why would you say
It
again?
just so happens they are.
Well, okay, but why
Scared me.
categorize them according to their religious faith, their ethnicity? Why would you do that? Why can't you just describe them as business people that you've dealt with? That's fine, but what you're doing by saying Jewish people, these constant tirades, against Jewish people, many people find
why
that
are you calling
they
it
just find.
tirade? That sounds like you have it.
I think it's a tirade.
Where's the tirade? That was a tweet. It was a tweet.
It's
It
not
was
just a
And
tweet,
you
is
asked me
it?
to explain it. And that have you felt my pain yet? You haven't felt my pain. You don't want to feel my pain.
Well, no, hang
you don't
on.
hold You don't hold accountability to my pain. You're being a Karen.
I'm talking
You
about.
don't
I'm
hold
talking. I'm not a
accountability
Karen.
to
and
the pain.
I'm not.
Did this man just call him a Karen? I don't know if that's the right context, but okay, here we go.
Karen, and I'm not going to cancel you, and I'm not going to uncensor you. I'm simply going to challenge you on what you're saying. I think you
can't
don't
cancel me.
understand the pain that you've been causing with some of these comments. And I think that one in particular, I can understand.
Oh my God. God forbid one comment could cause people to feel any of the pain that my people have went through for
Ah, there it goes. He did use the argument. Yep, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, now let's hear him out.
years. Even like the blacks being ushered to the left during the civil rights movement. No one has cared about black people.
All right.
No one is.
Let me say, I agree that the racism against black people has been utterly deplorable, shameful, unacceptable, and thank God the world is beginning to move to a better place about the way it has treated black people like you. However, one form of racism doesn't justify.
It's almost in a better place.
Well,
but you
one
see,
form of racism doesn't justify another.
It's not a better place.
I'm not cutting you off. I'm finishing my sentence. So you can respond. One form of racism. It is racism when you say I'm going DEFCON for Jewish people. That's racism.
No,
that's not racism. That's not racism. Okay. You know, I think Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan already explained that Jewish is not a race. You know, I mean, come on. Doesn't Piers and Morgan know this? But anyway, you know, it's just like saying, you know, he's going whatever on Methodists or whatever. That's not a race. I mean, come on now. But anyway, let's hear this out.
it's not.
It is.
I thought you had a platform where I could explain how I felt. You don't care about how I feel. You just want to shut me up. You don't want me to say out loud what my people have been going through.
I do.
Or do you?
I do. I'm very happy to do that.
So what have my people have been going through? What led me to that point?
My
What
point is,
led me, a person, a successful, influential, extremely attractive person to get to that point?
I am not doubting for a moment that you will feel genuine pain about the racism against you and other black people in America.
Okay, you know what I think it is? Look, and hey, maybe you have a difference of opinion, but this kind of reminds me of the Monique situation. Remember how Monique, she wanted to, you know, the comedian, she wanted to boycott Netflix and all of this, that, and the other. Now, what I'm asking is, was she interested in boycotting Netflix before her deal fell through? Or was it that she wanted to boycott Netflix when things really weren't going her way? So here's what I'm saying with Kanye West. It's like, you know, look, it's easy to say, well, I did this because of my people. Well, did you? Or was it because there's something that in your business world that wasn't panning out for you? And that's what kind of prompted this. See, it's easy to try to, make everything about gender bias, race bias, and all these different things and try to get everybody on board to fight against an entity or a business that you had no interest in fighting against until things weren't working out for you. So, that's interesting. Let's hear him out.
Not for 1 second would
Racism
I deny.
by who?
Would I deny that?
Racism by who?
Well, by anybody. I think any form of
by
racism
who?
is wrong. Any form of racism is wrong.
I didn't say DEFCON on anybody though.
You said DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, specifically Jewish people. You didn't say any particular Jewish person. You said basically all of them. That is racism, Ye. And I think if you were honest with yourself,
not.
given the fallout from this, you would think again about how you
They're
phrase that
Ethiopian
sentence.
Jews.
Because actually, you didn't mean all Jewish
given-
people.
There's
Given
all
the
sorts
fallout-
of Jews all over the place.
Given the fallout,
African, black.
Do you care about the
American
hurt you
black.
caused Jewish people?
What fallout?
Well, you were removed from
What
various.
fallout?
You were
I
removed
loved
from
you.
social media.
Wait a second. You're not allowing me to talk, Chris. You're
I'm
not
Piers.
allowing me to
I'm
talk,
Piers.
Chris.
We call him Chris.
Oh, I thought it was the same person.
He's American. I'm
Ah,
British.
interesting. That was funny.
So the thing is, I want to bring joy to the world. I'm a composer, right? And this is a symphony. Our life is a symphony. We have so many beautiful ideas, but I feel the anti-Semite has been a wall, a cloak that allows Jewish businessmen, boom, I'll only be the police officer that says, hey, this guy with the gun is the only person going to jail. I'll be the first person that does that in history, right? So look, no one else in this car riding with the guy with the gun and the drugs is going to jail. Are you happy? I'll play by rules that are not played by from my people, just for the sake of this
I don't want you
conversation,
playing
right?
by any.
So,
I don't want you playing by any.
that makes you happy, right?
I don't want you to say things just to make me happy.
Well, he kind of does have a point there, with these all-in laws and all of this stuff. I mean, kind of like what happened to Bobby Schmurder and a whole bunch of other people. I hear, yeah. So he kind of has a point there. Here we go.
Colonizers do is give us rules.
I'm not trying to
That's
colonize
what colonizers
you.
do is
I'm
give
not
us
trying
rules.
to colonize you. I'm not trying to censor you. All I'm saying to you is, when you use a phrase, like I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Did you hear what I just said, though?
Yes, I did.
We're past that. We're past that in
Well, hang on.
conversation.
We're not past it.
Did you hear what I just said?
We're not past
Are
it
you
unless you're
happy
prepared
that I said
to.
I'll focus
Let me explain what
on...
Let me
Are
explain.
you happy that I said...
I know. I heard what you
Whoa, brother, why are you talking over me?
Let me respond.
Yay, Chris.
I'm Piers. Let's respond. Let me respond, right? I'm simply saying what you've just said is not what you said on your Instagram post, and you know it, right? If you have a problem with particular businessmen who happen to be Jewish, that is a concern for you.
And you know it.
So you talk about all Jewish people.
But brother, what is the point? Brother, do you want me to grow from the statement? I just told you, okay, I was in a position where I've been hurt, and this is the way I had the right to express myself. The point of this interview is for you to question me, and then for me to answer and say, okay, even though the same rules are not applied to my people, if a person with a gun or drugs is pulled over and has 3 other people in the car, they're all going to jail. I'm not going to apply that to Jewish people for the sake of this conversation. Isn't that what you wanted? But you know what you did? You tried to civil rights me. You tried to pull me back to a week ago. But we're here today. There's been plenty of conversations and commentary since that. But you want me to go back to 1960.
No.
You want me to go back to 7 days ago.
All right, let me jump in. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to reflect.
Okay, so have we grown? Have we grown?
Here's how we grow. Yeah. Here's how we grow. I want you to reflect.
No, have we grown?
Have
we grown? You're not in charge of my growth. You're not in charge of my growth, Chris.
Wow.
Okay, let me phrase
grow.
it like this. I'm about to suggest to you how you may grow if you choose to grow this way.
You're getting turned up.
You can ignore me. You can ignore me.
Piers, Piers, how much money are you worth?
Not as much as you, sadly.
That is not a good argument. Do not lead an argument when you don't win an argument that way. But here we go.
Exactly. So take my advice. Maybe you'll get richer.
I would love to
Argumentum ad veracundium. That is not a good way to structure your argument. Here we go.
take your business advice.
Why would I listen to you?
Well, why don't you hear what my advice is and then work out if I'm wrong? Can we do that deal?
You haven't given me any credit or a moment of reflection for the comparison that I made, the brilliant, if I do say so myself, comparison that I made to the cops pulling over one black person and locking everyone up.
I understand what you're saying.
And my tweet having issues. Wait a second, I wasn't done with the sentence. My tweet referring to all Jewish people, I said, for the sake of this conversation, I will refer to the business people who have destroyed me and my people and my fellow creatives.
Pause. Kanye West, if he actually completed the argument, if he completed his example, he would actually have a really good point. He's saying, well, a black person in the car with a gun, and there's three other black people in there. All of them are getting locked up. Well, had he completed it, what he should have said was, yeah, in that case, if there are four people in the car, one of them is the gun owner and slides it under the seat, but nobody takes possession of the gun. Nobody takes ownership. Everyone is silent. Then everybody gets the charge. So he should have structured his argument that way, that if you have this one person doing this, but then everybody around this person is silent, then all of them essentially get the charge until they point at who is at fault. See, he's not finishing the example. It could have been considerably more powerful had he, given a lot more detail or just a little bit more detail to the context of his example. It would have been considerably more impactful, in my opinion. But here we go.
But you didn't even accept that I gave you that. You tried to push me back into 1960.
No, I didn't.
You tried to push me back into last week.
No, I didn't.
Okay, do you accept that example that I gave you?
I understand completely the example you gave me. I think all racism is wrong.
So I feel that we've grown.
I would like you to reflect.
I feel we've grown. Do you feel we've grown?
If you've now changed what you wanted to say originally, my question for you is, do you now regret saying DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? Are you sorry you said that?
No.
I think it matters. You should be.
Absolutely not.
You should be.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely not. You should be. Why should he be sorry that he said that? Well, okay. Well, let's hear it out.
Not.
Yeah, but you should be.
Absolutely not. Are the people, the Jewish businessmen that led me to that place, are they sorry for the way they've raped my
I don't
people?
know who you're talking about in particular, but I don't know why you keep having to say
And
they're
by the way,
Jewish.
you wouldn't-
What does the
but
fact
you would-
they're Jewish got to do with anything? Why do you keep
What
doing
do
that?
you mean? They're the Jewish businessmen that did that
They're
because
business
they are.
people.
That's what they did.
Why do you keep saying Jewish business people? Why do you keep using their
let me-
religion, their
okay,
ethnicity? Why do you keep doing that?
Let me
Interesting.
update it then. Okay, so I'll say this. Would I have grown into the box you want me to go on if I say to specify the business people that have raped my people that just so happen to be Jewish?
I think
That's how you say it, man. That's how you say it. That just so happened to be. If you're going to, try to slip in an identifier. Here we go.
by doing what you've just done, I find that I'm not even Jewish and I find that offensive. Why do you keep having to do that? I don't think you get it at all. I don't think you understand the offence you're causing when you keep using their religious background, their ethnicity, as a stick to beat them with. Why would you do that?
You know what I think it is? I think Kanye wants the people in their community to call them out. I think that's why he's doing it. I think he thinks that if you shame someone, then ultimately their people are going to look at them and then call them out. Because we've seen that in black society. We've seen, I mean, come on, anytime you have Tarana Burke, who would get out there and she's like, she's going after black men. That's she's like, white men, that ain't my responsibility. That ain't my goal. So she had her target, her sights set on people within her so-called own community, right? Well, what Kanye West is trying to do, what I think he's trying to do, is he's trying to, paint the target on these specific people and then trying to label them according to their culture so that people in their culture can call them out. Kanye West doesn't know is that's not how their culture works. I have not seen any in mass media or on any major platform, I have not seen anyone from the Jewish culture call out another person from the Jewish culture on like a mainstream media. I haven't seen it. Maybe y'all have. But if they ever did, it certainly didn't catch wildfire, and become viral. Here we go.
So what are you more concerned about? Getting the richest black man of all time to kowtow? Because it's not going to happen.
I don't want you to kowtow. You can do what the hell you like. You're a billionaire. You can do what the hell you want. I'm just saying to you that I don't think you quite understand when you talk about. Okay, can I finish?
It's not multi.
You're a multi-billionaire. Okay, well, congratulations. But that doesn't change the fact that when you insult the Jewish people and say you're going DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people, that is as racist as anything you say you've been through and any pain that you've experienced. It's the same thing. Racism is racism. And you know that, I think, don't you?
If you're saying that it's a race.
That's why I said it.
So you said it knowing it's racist?
Yes. I fought fire with fire.
Okay.
I'm not here to get hosed down.
At least that's
honest.
honest.
A different type of freedom fighter.
That's honest. All right. You were racist because you knew it was racist, but you
look at this dude's eyes.
Decided to do that because people have been racist to you. Is that your position?
No, I'm not. First of all, I can't. What is the beginning? Read the whole tweet. I'm sure you have it in front of it. Somebody in your office has it. Get him a coffee and a yay tweet.
What do you want to know? The whole tweet?
I want you to read it out loud, sir.
I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. That was the exact tweet.
I like reading that whole thing. I can't be anti-Semite. I love Jewish people. I work with Jewish people. Yo, watch this. Watch this. Some of my best friends are Jewish.
Right. So you know how that sounds.
How many times have you heard that statement?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Wait.
Except for replace Jewish with black. Here we go.
Have we ever heard that term before? But the funny thing is, they are. I work with Dove Charney that got kicked out of his company, out of American Apparel. I work with this guy every day. He's like my twin. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. And we work through that and we talk through it. And he says, "Yay, why are you so mad?" And I'm like, this is why I'm mad. This contract right here, what's gonna happen before I'm done, we're gonna open up all of the music industry contracts, all of the publishing deals, all of the athlete deals, all of the acting deals, all of the mortgages, all of the deals.
But that's fine. But yeah, that's all fine.
Business people who we went at.
That's all fine. You can do all that.
But it has to start somewhere.
Of course you can do all that. And when you do that,
it has to start somewhere.
I hope you won't be judged as a black business person doing it all the time. That people don't phrase it all the time by the color of your skin, but by your business acumen. Isn't that what you would like? Isn't that what equality actually means?
Of course I'll be judged by that, because when people come into power, people get judged. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody that gets judged more than a straight white male. The straight white male has the least amount of a platform to even speak. A straight white male can't say, "My wife hurt me today."
What? Hold up. What? What? Somebody give me somebody give me that sound. What? Have you lost a little bit of your mind, Kanye? Look, I definitely don't agree with. That's far-fetched. I'll say this: if you want to compare the current status of whatever white men have to say and this, that, the other. Okay, I'll say that, yeah, it's a lot more difficult now than it perhaps was 50 years ago. But to then say that they are the most silences, dude, absolutely not. And if so, who's the one silencing them? Is it their own peers? Is it the women of their own group? Huh? That's interesting. Because I know you ain't going to make it like there's so many different media outlets held by black people or any other person that silences them. So, that I don't agree with. But here we go. Let's hear them out.
Because people will say, well, you're hurting women. A straight white male can't say, hey, a black employee didn't come in to work on time, because then people will say you're racist. A straight white male can't speak on a homosexual person because they'll say you're homophobic. And so
that's any straight man. that's any straight man. I mean, come on. I mean, do you see what happened to Kevin Hart and Tracy Morgan? I mean, think about it. Dave Chappelle. I mean, come on. So that's being disingenuous right there. Here we go.
I empathize with the position of the straight white male, and part of the reason why I empathize with that position is because I know that I'm headed to that position. And what position that is? Top power position.
Okay.
That's the top power position where you get all the rocks thrown. And
Okay.
that's the thing. I have friends, right, that will actually that's the reason why I'm going to be a good leader someday, because I'm really empathetic. But I call black people out on their stuff. I call white people out on their stuff, because we're all people. We're actually only one species. And in order to, whether it's my friends texting me like, bro, you got to get in the gym. You're looking chubby in the photo. It's like we have to hold each other accountable to what's actually happening. And it's so much is based on you did that tweet wrong. So what I will say is I feel that my words demand more sensitivity for the frequency that I'm operating at and and the amount of people that I'm communicating to. And I take that responsibility right now. But I will also say everything happens for a reason.
What? My words demand more, sensitivity for the frequency that he's saying a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, I think what he wanted to say is I need to regulate my passion whenever I'm talking. That's essentially what he said. Because sometimes my passion is stronger than my ability to articulate myself. That's what he should have said. All that other word salad stuff. Yeah. So yeah, not everybody has the ability to understand what people mean or what they're trying to say. Usually you only get one chance. So, that's something that he really needs to work on. But here we go.
Because if it had been perfectly worded in English, and because there's nothing whiter than English itself, right? I'm already not speaking in my mother tongue, right? So if I had perfectly worded it in the most sensitive way, then we wouldn't be here right now. Now we're opening up the conversation. I'm not allowed to say whether or not I'm running for office in 2024, but I'll tell you what, if the left, let's say the left would have never supported me anyway. And now I've got to call to attention, I am who you should support. The left did not allow Trump to be president. They treated him like he wasn't even the president. So even then he won, he was losing half.
Yeah, but okay, now that's just a habit of on both sides. Because when Obama was in office, to be fair, I remember Sean Hannity, like when his show would come on, he was like, their agenda is to, make sure that President Obama was a one-term president. It's something that would play when his show was coming on. Well, if that's your goal, well, then sure. Then you're not going to treat the president like their president, and you're going to do everything to ensure that they fail, rather than assist in their success. So, yeah, depending on, I mean, no matter what side you're on, right or left, I've seen that happen in both instances, depending on who is president at the time. So here we go.
Of the American people every day.
Got to be unbiased.
The country. When I'm saying whoever goes into office, for British media, for American media, we must support our leaders and not just run this hyper negative. You know what I will? And black people hate when I apologize for this. When I see people like John Legend and Chrissy Teigen talk down on the president, I'm like, wow, that kind of sounds like me. That kind of sounds like the telethon. I opened up this level of disrespect towards our leaders. And people were happy.
Stop it, Kanye West. No, you didn't open up this level like you're the first person to start criticizing presidents. In a manner that could be, considered disrespectful. Like, dude, now you're taking credit for a little bit too much. I know you're feeling yourself, Kanye, but, come back down to earth a little bit, we're still here, feet on the ground.
And the left saw that and say, well, let's just have every celebrity do what Ye did at the telethon. So I take responsibility for that moment. And you know what? I just want to give every Jewish person a big hug. Also, I'm envious of the Jewish people. I'm envious of how they don't abort their children. I'm envious of how they don't shoot each other in the streets and then rap about it. I'm envious of how their families stay together. I'm envious that they turn their phones off on Friday night and the family comes together. I'm envious of how they do the business together. And I want that for the darker Jews. I want that for the black people. I want that. We need that. God said we should remove the word want, right?
Okay.
We're going to have that.
Okay.
And this is the beginning of it.
But it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you
Interesting. He said darker Jews. Here we go.
are acknowledging, as you've just acknowledged, that it was wrong to say what you said about President Bush when he said he doesn't care about black people, and that may have encouraged all this disrespect towards presidents since. I think it's an interesting point you made. It does seem to me, Ye, talking to you, that even if it's hard for you to admit this, that you do regret the wording of that tweet which caused all the problems, and you wouldn't phrase it that way again. Am I right?
I would tell my dad that. My dad loved the White Lives Matter t-shirt because what audacity does a black man have to wear the exact same t-shirt that a white man could wear? And my dad was a Black Panther. I mean, we have a water purification center. He's like the original Steve Jobs.
Right.
He's the educated version of me, right?
Wait, hold on. What the hell did you say? Hold up. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? I'm gonna rewind it 10 seconds. Listen to this.
And my dad was a Black Panther. I mean, we have a water purification center. He's like the original Steve Jobs.
Right.
He's the educated version of me.
Pause. The educated version of me. Huh? No. He's not a version of you. You're his son. So you want to say I'm the less educated version of him, but that would sound a little bit too much focus on you as being at a disadvantage or whatever. But yeah, I just noticed that. Really? He's a version of you. Come on, Kanye. Don't be that big-headed to think that your father comes from you. Anyway, here we go.
Right, and he liked both of those things, but he said, Ye. He even calls me Ye now. He's like, Ye, you've got to be more sophisticated with your wording, and that wording, like I said, I'm a bit sleepy.
True.
And it lacked the sophistication needed to be the true conductor that I am, because it's the conductor's job to bring people together, and that was divisive,
right,
which is not who I want to be.
Right. So
so I'll tell you that. I'm not looking. And also, let me put
sounds
out
like
right
you agree.
now.
So it sounds like you agree with me. Do you agree with me then?
I want to talk. Okay, let me say that I'm just thinking right now what's on my heart is the idea for people who do actually have severe mental health issues, the word retarded for, there's parents that have children who actually are mentally ill, and that word is really offensive to those people.
So why use it?
And just because I was feeling
There you go.
well, it's a couple reasons. Because people call me retarded. They treat me like I'm retarded. And so I embrace it. It's like you call somebody a so much, they say, I'm. You call somebody a bitch so much, they say, I'm a bitch. You call somebody a retarded so much, you say, I'm retarded. Like, I was exhausted, and I embraced the idea of having a serious mental health issue. But Noah also, but Moses was basically on speed when he was doing what he did.
Let me ask you,
By the way,
look, out of interest,
Yeah.
how much sleep do you get a night?
I'm not here to talk about how much sleep I get. I don't owe you that.
You've literally just been talking about
how much sleep do you get a night?
I had about 5.5 hours last night, actually. Not very much. But you're the one that's raised this issue.
And I probably had the same.
Right. My question is only
because... I probably had the same, but
it's only because you've been talking about you don't believe you have a mental illness. You think it's lack of sleep. So I think it's an obvious question to ask, well, how much sleep do you get? Are you constantly sleep deprived? Is that one of the reasons, perhaps, sometimes, as you say, you feel sleepy and you shoot from the hip verbally and you say stuff that maybe when you're...
Good question. Kanye West, he's very sensitive right now, but it's almost like when you are testifying in court, when you mention something, now it's all fair game. So, yeah, Kanye West has been talking about that. So, yeah, that is a fair question. Here we go.
Rested, you wouldn't say it the same way. Would that be fair?
Tell me what's... Okay, no, it's not fair, because what's more important, the pain and the truth of what I'm talking about and what led me to that tweet, or the tweet itself?
I think both can be true.
Because
the problem you have is, I think you've acknowledged.
You have one tweet.
I think you've acknowledged that the wording of the tweet was offensive.
Years.
Yes, I understand, but the damage it caused, and I think
I understand that was offensive.
And I think that you have accepted.
The damage
you probably shouldn't have phrased it that way.
You as a white person are so stuck on the idea that what I said was offensive, which is a very caring approach. You're not sticking on the fact.
Pause. Wait a minute. So on one hand, just a couple seconds ago, wasn't he an advocate for straight white men being able to speak their truth? But now he's using it against them by saying, well, you as a white person, essentially you as a straight white male. Come on, bro. Where's the consistency? It's like you can't do that. In arguing and debate, these are things that you're going to have to look out for. Consistency, congruity. Don't start switching it and going back on a point that you made whenever things aren't going your way in the debate. You have to remain consistent. Here we go.
You have not unpacked what happened with those contracts. I've said that, but you didn't ask me another question about it. That means there's an agenda.
Absolutely not.
Inside of your platform.
I have repeatedly said to you that I'm sure I do not disbelieve that you've had contract business issues with various managers, accountants, and so on. My argument is that when you do it,
me or other me's.
I'm sure many other artists in the music business. Yeah, of course.
You know why you're sure? Because you don't care to do the research because it doesn't affect you.
No, it's because you said.
Have you done any research?
No. Yeah, let me explain to you. I'm not doubting what you're saying.
You don't care.
I do care.
You don't care about me. You don't care about my people. I care about me. I care about my people.
Pause. Kanye. I do believe that there's a little bit. Okay, I believe that he believes that he cares, right? That I believe. although it's hard to really say that you care when you say that you are. Kanye said that he is his favorite person. It's like, wow, okay. I inspire myself. Well, he believes he has all of the answers. It's kind of interesting if you have all of your people, a great deal of them, that take issue with what it is that you're doing or saying. Well, then you're going to have to, sometimes action is going to have to back up all of these feelings that you're saying. All of these, these wonderful things about how you care about your people. Well, a whole bunch of your people were confused. They're like, dude, what is this? What are you doing, Kanye? On one hand, you advocate for, the most oppressed people and silent people in here is the straight white man. They can't even say anything anymore. The plight of straight white men is just too much. Shut up, Piers, because you're a straight white man. You can't say anything. It's like, damn, Kanye. Like, bruh, you have to be consistent, my man. And this right here, it ain't looking too good. And your people are, I believe that they're on board with what I'm saying. A whole lot of them are confused. But I'm going to press play. Let them finish.
So it's for me to stand up. And God forbid I step on someone's toes while I'm at it.
It's not someone's toes. You stepped on the entire Jewish people's toes with a very deeply inflammatory tweet, which I think you've now accepted. You shouldn't have phrased that way. It's taken a bit of time to get there, but I think you have accepted that, right?
Have you accepted that you've put no effort into understanding how I got there?
I don't think, honestly,
Wow.
10 years from now.
Honestly, I don't think there is any...
You're going to apologize to me about this interview.
I'm not.
You're going to apologize to me about this interview within the next 10 years.
No, I'm not, because here's the thing.
Mark my words.
I don't doubt you've had...
It's very one-sided.
No, it's not.
It's very white-sided.
Oh, come
it's
on,
very one-sided. It's very like...
It's not white-sided. I'm not doubting you've had business...
Yeah, okay. Now, I consider myself to be a very objective person. I can remove any political affiliations or any personal sentiments and really hear what someone's saying. I haven't really gathered that from Piers Morgan in this interview. Not in this one. I don't think he's gone far enough yet. That's why, Kanye should have him ask a few more questions so we can get, a little bit more of an idea of where Piers Morgan wants to go with this. Now, those of y'all who probably checked out the Piers Morgan Andrew Tate interview, now that guy is a very articulate guy that he was debating with. And in that interview, it was apparent that Piers Morgan had an agenda. In here, I don't think Kanye West has let him get the agenda out if there's an agenda. But let's hear it out.
Issues. I'm saying the way to respond to that is not to go
public
to millions of people and say you're going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Millions of people.
All right.
Millions of people have had DEFCON 3 on their contracts.
Right. You
millions
didn't
of people
say
have went
that.
home to their girl
You didn't say that.
And said, millions of people. Well, I opened it up. Now I didn't, but now I'm saying it now.
Okay.
Sir.
So now what I think you should say, I think you should say to the Jewish people, I'm sorry for the offensive language I used in that tweet. I wouldn't do that again. This is what I really meant. I think people would respect you if you said that. I don't know why you can't just say that.
You know when I'll say it? When I sit down with the people who write out the contracts for the NBA and for the NFL and for professional music and for acting contracts. We need to go to the top lawyers, the top execs, the owners of the stadiums, the owners of the football teams, and the owners of the record labels. And we're going to put them all in one room. And we're going to read let's go top 10 in each one of these categories, right? Let's read Michael B. Jordan's
contract. Why would any of that? Why would any of that?
Hey, bro, I ain't finished. I ain't finished my sentence.
Nothing you're saying has...
Well, damn. Kanye West had turned all the way up. Let's go back 10 seconds.
Okay, but why would any of that... Okay, but why would any of that... Why would any of that...
Bro, I ain't finished. I ain't finished my sentence.
Nothing you're saying has anything to...
Damn. Kanye. Kanye. Calm down, Playboy. Now, is this what bipolarism looks like? Interesting. He says sleep deprived. Okay, well, here we go.
Hey, boy.
Regret.
Hey, boy.
Don't call me
damn.
boy.
Don't finish. I told you. Oh, don't treat me like a boy then. I'm going to
not.
finish my sentence of my idea.
Nothing you're saying has got anything to
You're
do
not,
with the
okay?
tweet.
Cool.
Does
Bro,
it?
I was in the middle of a sentence, boy. Okay, so
Kanye West is being very disrespectful at this moment, but I get how he's feeling like his words, his rant is being infringed upon. But Kanye West has a habit of talking a lot, and he can go on a tangent, right? When there's an interviewer, you have to kind of direct the conversation. But I'll say this. This is a taste of Piers Morgan's own medicine. Because Piers Morgan is the king of cut you off. He is the king of cut you off, and redirecting the conversation. So perhaps this is something that Kanye West was already preparing himself for, because he knew that Piers Morgan had a habit of doing this. So now it's like he probably already had it in his mind. See, I ain't going to let him cut me off, and that's why he's getting extra turned up. Putting on the theatrics and things like that, calling them boy. Hey, boy, all right, here we go.
are you going to allow me to finish my sentence?
Yes. If you then answer my question.
Okay, so I'm going to tell
Notice
people.
the body language of Piers Morgan. Look here. Let me rewind it. You see this? See this mouth pose? That is someone that is trying to hold something back when you do your lips like that. That is like a subconscious way of let me silence my mouth when you purse your lips like that. Yeah, that's someone trying to silence what they're thinking in their mind from coming out of their mouth. Here we go.
Are you going to allow me to finish my sentence?
Done shut
Yes.
Piers Morgan up.
If you then answer my question.
Okay, so I'm going to tell people when I would apologize for the tweet. This is what has to happen first. I need all of the top executives in Hollywood. I need the top executives at the NBA and at the NFL. We'll do those two sports specifically. And I want the top executives in music, dealing with publishing, dealing with like Spotify and Apple Music and Universal Music and all the top exec. Let's do like 5 top execs there. And I want to look at the top 10 earners in each one of those fields' contracts openly. We want to compare and contrast the contracts. And then once we open that conversation, and we need to do it on a platform live with lawyers asking questions, and we'll have the top lawyers like a Johnny Cochran, Robert Kardashian level legal team, looking at all of these contracts together. After that moment happens, then I will say, I'm sorry.
Okay, if that's your position.
That's
clear.
Interview adjourned. Love you.
What the hell was that?
Okay, that's the end of the interview.
Is it?
I mean, I just get the feeling from you that you're obviously a complex character.
What the hell was that? Antics? Theatrics? So he left and then came back? What's going on here? Damn. And now he's looking down again. What is this?
Brilliant in many ways, fascinating, like I say, compelling. You have a huge appeal to millions of people around the world. It just seems to me that occasionally your mouth gets you into trouble and that perhaps on reflection, sometimes you look back and wish you hadn't said things. Is that accurate?
Nah, not really. Because...
Pull the cell phone out. Look at the phone. That's actually a nervous move right there. Yeah, that's typically what people do. I ain't going to analyze the body language and all that. I'm going to just let it play.
the things I say are on behalf of God. Like, it's not always godly because I'm a man, but God is definitely using me. You're Catholic faith?
I am.
Or what's
Yes,
your background?
I am
What's your
Catholic.
religious?
Catholic, yeah.
Well, we're working for God here, and it's just like with black people now with entertainment, we're coming into wealth, but all the other, black people with anywhere near my amount of wealth would never cross the lines of, taboos inside of the media.
You know what? Oprah Winfrey got a lot of criticism behind that. There was a whole lot of criticism Oprah Winfrey got. So I could agree with that. Oprah Winfrey got a lot of pushback because they're like, Oprah, you going way over there. You're building schools out there in different countries. Why not right here? And there's a lot of narratives out there that says, well, there are some forces that don't want her to do that. I don't know. It could be conspiracy. It could be true. But maybe there's some validity to what Kanye's saying. Here we go.
That actually we used to in rap. All these words, we used to say these. So it's all these like words that are being removed from our vocabulary, words that evoke emotion. Don't you feel like the salt is being taken out of our food? Look at Dune. The people who control the salt controlled all the money. And people are trying to control the salt, and it's salt in our language. That's why I will not apologize for having a bit of salt in my words. I will say, hey, this can be improved on, but it's like, hey, look, I'm going to update. You're looking at...
I agree.
The God's iPhone 100. We are God's iPhone, right? If you think about it, we're his favorite creation. We were made in his image. And we need updates. And society, capitalism, media, and thought police have been stopping us from our updates. We have to have a thought, and then we have to actualize it. I like the word actualize better than execute, because execute's a negative word. We discussed this. We have to actualize. There's so many, think about, for a homosexual kid, age 12 at school, not wanting to say out loud how he felt, or feeling like if he said how he felt, he would get bullied. Or what if he said how he felt, and then somebody said, you said the way you felt, and what your experience was in the wrong way. Now you need to apologize. We're fine that you felt that way, but you need to apologize for the way you said it. But just having the courage to do it in the first place would be, that's the thing that needs to be given credit. Like, yeah, you know what? We'll say in these past 2 weeks, I made a big splash. Because the first time you dive in the deep end, you're not going to look like an Olympic swimmer. But we're going to have to learn how to swim. And I've dived in the deep end.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Let me ask you about your family. Yeah, lots of speculation, of course.
A lot of people want credit for being brave. Okay. But listen, there's a thin line between bravery and crash test dummy. Bravery is moving forward in the face of danger, but still, with some, in my opinion, having some level of calculation and a strategic plan, not just winging it. That's called crash test dummy. When you just leap without even looking what you're leaping into, Yeah, so I don't know if, Kanye, he wants a lot of credit, but let me tell you something, man. At this level, there's going to be a lot more criticism than there is credit, especially if at the level that you are, you're not delivering in the manner that is expected of someone at that level. That's just the nature of things, man. But here we go.
Constantly.
If you understand what I'm saying, could you translate what I'm saying?
Yes.
I want you to translate what I said.
I know what.
And then let's move on to the next question.
Very good point. Yeah, you see, Piers could do. I can do that. There are some people that can translate what you're saying, but you don't have that luxury, man. You don't have that luxury. You're speaking the English language, and when you speak the English language, you have to understand that there's the language of people. and then there's a neutral language. In the neutral language, you can also speak with passion, but you have to speak precisely. You have to use that passion and speak precisely in the neutral language. Neutral language is the language that everyone can accept, everyone can hear, kind of like, when you hear a preacher preaching or something like that. So there's a difference between locker room talk versus the neutral language, which is, accepted for all audiences. Even if what you're speaking is a hard message, even children can sit and listen to it. But here we go.
Okay, let me attempt to translate.
What did I mean by that?
I think what she meant was that you are not afraid to ruffle feathers. You're not afraid to cause trouble where you feel it's justified. You're not afraid to call people out who you think deserve to be called out. But that occasionally you've expressed yourself in a way that perhaps hasn't quite hit the right mark, and that you are work in progress, as indeed we all are, and that you could phrase things better, which would cause less offence to a wider number of people, when in fact the target of your anger may be much more specific. That would be my interpretation of what you've just said.
Do you think that we can move forward as a civilization without there being any offense? Because one person's truth can be the other person's lie.
I think
no.
It entirely depends.
It's like,
I think it entirely depends. Honestly, look, part of me wants to say yes to that, but I do think there is a line, and we should all be mindful of the line. And the line to me...
No. The answer is no. We cannot move forward without offending people. That's just the nature. In all change comes discomfort. Come on. It's true. Galileo. Come on. Came up with the idea of heliocentrism, which, essentially said, well, yeah, the earth revolves around the sun and not the other way around, even though that the idea at that time was that the sun revolves around the earth. And he comes with this theory. Guess what? It was revolutionary, but guess what? It was not accepted. And he ultimately got thrown in jail for heresy. So, no, change does not take place without hurting people's feelings. You don't move forward without hurting people's feelings. That's going to happen. But the difference is, should we be living in a feelings-based society? But here we go.
I don't think any form of racism or perceived racism should ever be tolerated. I don't think that is free speech. It's just hate speech. And I think one of the problems with what you said about the Jewish people was the more generic way that you phrased that sentence. People didn't understand you were talking about specific business people you'd had a problem with. They thought you genuinely meant you were going DEFCON 3 on all Jewish people. And they took that to be a blatant form of anti-Semitism. I think you've explained in this interview that was not your intention at all, which is good. But I think if you're asking me to interpret what you've just said yourself, that would be my interpretation. That, you're work in progress, and sometimes you say stuff
I didn't just
which
explain.
doesn't quite get over what you're really meaning.
But what I really mean is, I don't want it to be settled. I don't want to be forgiven by Jewish people until we get to what the problem really is. I don't want, like Elon, he got on Twitter, he said, I talked to Ye, he took it to heart. And I liked my boy standing up for me, but I was like, but the fight isn't done though. Everybody, white media, left media, they just want to squash the fight. They want to keep the pain of George Floyd going, right? But they don't want the pain of our representatives.
What did Elon Musk say to you about the tweet, out of interest?
Kanye West is so into what he wants to say, he gets very upset if you stop his train of thought. He's a ranter. He's not really a communicator. There's a difference between talking with someone and talking at someone. Now, Piers Morgan, he is a notorious interviewer. He's not really someone that is your therapist. Kanye West is treating this like he's in therapy. Your therapist doesn't owe you, your therapist owes you a listening ear, not an interviewer. So in this right here, Kanye West is kind of getting them kind of misconstrued. He's probably used to being in spaces where he dominates the microphone. And right now, he's met someone who also has the same, probably not the same level of ego, but an ego too, and likes to talk and will cut you off. Right now, what I'm gathering is frustration. Pulls the hat up, scratches the head, even though he probably wasn't itching. So here we go.
It's vague to me right now. I don't want to misquote him.
What was the general?
It's vague to me.
What was the general point of what he was saying?
It's vague to me. It's truly vague to me. I'm an honest person. I tell you what it was. What I keep on saying, it's just always about this tweet. It's so much more. If you look back at this interview, and it's like a direction arrow, it's more in the direction of fixing the statement than fixing the problem.
I think both.
And that's my problem.
I understand, but I would say to that I think they're two different things.
Very, very, very good point. Interesting point.
Things, and you can fix both actually. And I accept that part of what you were trying to do and the point you were trying to make, I completely understand it because you've explained it in more detail. On Elon Musk, there is a suggestion that when he gets control of Twitter, which seems likely now, that he will bring you back, he'll bring Donald Trump back. Do you think that would be right?
It'll be lit.
Do you think it's wrong that you and Trump have been banned from these platforms?
TJ Planet, what's going on?
Actually, I was talking to Trump a couple days ago, and he was like, I'm not going to do his voice, right? But he was saying, I had 277 million followers, and the next day I had nothing. And that related to, Mark Zuckerberg, Meta. Mark Zuckerberg thinks he is the government. These tech companies feel they're more powerful than the U.S. government to the point of actually kicking the actual president of the United States off of an American social media platform. This is the world we live in.
And I would say, listen, I agree with you, and I'll tell you why. I think it's completely inconsistent that companies like Facebook and Twitter allow people like the Ayatollah of Iran, for example, to remain on the platform, or Taliban people to be on the platform, but they don't allow an American president. That seems to me completely ludicrous.
Absolutely. A lot of this social media stuff is do you know how long that they had the picture of Trayvon Martin circulating around and weren't taking any of these pages down, but the moment that you mentioned something about a shot, getting one of these shots or expressing your opinion that was against the predominant narrative that they wanted you to go, they'll shut your page down. Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of inconsistency in this entire social media narrative. It reeks of bias. So here we go.
Yes, and this is part of the 100-year plan that they have books on about, China's takeover of America after losing the Industrial Revolution. Now, let's talk about business people. We won't refer to their race. And by the way, I'll tell you, as a Jew person, a person that has a lot of Jewish friends, it's not a race, it's a people.
Right.
And every Jewish homeboy I know is going to be like, yo, yeah, that's right. So, but it's hard to attract, it's hard to influence patriotism on capitalists. And it's a responsibility for us as Americans to retake our power in media, to retake our power in our schools, to retake our power in our farms, to retake our power in our medicine, in our hospitals, to revitalize the country, because America invented rock and roll at the end of the day. We have the inventions. America created Apple. You understand? Like, we created the platforms that the world runs on now, and We've allowed the business people in these companies to sell us, and whatever the term is, sell them in a handbag, whatever it is, for cheap. And Americans are God-fearing, for the most part, God-fearing Christian people, and we're not cheap. And we can't be sold for cheap. And we're here to stand up and say, you got to honor who we are, our families. You got to honor our God, Jesus Christ. So, next subject.
Can I ask you something? Let me ask you something else here. I want to ask you about your family, because you mentioned families there. A lot of stuff has been written about you and your family, a lot of it fueled by you, by Kim, by others. Where are things now with your family? What is your relationship like with Kim, with your kids?
Kim has Zionist media handlers surrounding her, all in and out her Hulu TV show, all in and out her family, all in or out the house that I created for my family. But God is alive, the devil is a defeated foe, and Kim is a Christian woman, and she's not here just to have content up on adult channels. She's not here just to have that last Interview magazine cover. If you look at the two Interview magazine covers, look at the one when I was there and look at the one when I'm not there. And that's the reason why this Tuskegee experiment of such that's happened to the black community, where they took the fathers out of the home and the leaders out of the community and have torn apart the community.
Oh, no, you don't. Hold up. What you're saying is if you're there, she's not doing anything problematic, but when you leave, she's doing things problematic. Well, what does that tell you? It tells you that someone will default back to their natural state. It's like when the cat's away, the mice will play. I mean, so what you're saying essentially is when I'm there are no mice in the house. But they are. They're just in the walls, you know? But when you leave and then you look at the camera and there's mice all over the place. Listen, so you can't absolve Kim for her own choices. Is he factoring this in? You know, you think that taking fathers out of the household makes a mother problematic? No, she was like that already. You married into a problematic situation. You see? So, you know, I don't understand this, this ideology, the 304 and into the housewife. It's like, well, when I was there, she was a housewife. Well, what was she before you met her? And then after you left, she went right back to who she was before you met her. You know, which is why the foundation is more important than the theatrics or the restraint that goes on, you know, when she's there. There are plenty of people that can pretend long term. Do you know how many men that I know edit themselves around their wives? But their wives truly don't know how they actually feel. But their homeboys do. Cats at the barbershop, at the cigar bar, you know, they know exactly how that person feels. Why? Because that person can't be who they truly are around their spouse. Now, for you to think that Kim is not like that, like somehow your presence, it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Let's be honest. Like, really, like, use logic, bro, common sense. But here we go.
Now they've seen that's worked, and they're doing that to America. They're attempting, they're trying.
I mean, that
it's
the interview magazine cover you're talking about, I think, is the one where she was basically semi-naked in front of the American flag. And I thought that was pretty distasteful, actually. It was about the American dream. And I thought, well, if that's the American dream, we're all screwed. I mean, in America.
Oh, yeah. But that's part of the American dream, too, now. But, you know, not necessarily Kim, but, you know, finding a... Let me keep that to myself. Here we go.
And I agree with that. And I didn't feel the platform to voice my opinion because I want to, it's always like, hey, this is your kid's mother. But it's time with the leaders. Like, I'm still the priest of that home, Chris. I'm still the priest of that home. They want to make it this matriarch society, all that, and but I am the priest of this home, and God is alive. I am the living Robert Kardashian.
Interesting. I do agree with that, with part of what he said, but I don't know what he's talking about with this Robert Kardashian thing.
And I'm going to stand up for what God would want as a Christian. And then people say as a Christian, oh, you're not supposed to curse. You're not supposed to have righteous indignation.
Wait a minute. Okay, is he talking about that none of this foolishness that Kris Jenner and all of these people are doing, is he saying that that didn't exist when Robert Kardashian was around because Robert Kardashian would not put up with that? Interesting. I wonder if that's what he's saying, that he is the regulator and the tone setter. Well, that was, Robert Kardashian died a long time ago. Had he been alive in this specific era, I don't know. But okay.
But I do. Christians had swords also. Christians got guns. I tell you that. So.
But do you talk to Kim?
I mean,
there have been reports, that you and Kim don't really talk at the moment. She's distancing herself from you because of the stuff you've been saying must get in controversy. Is that true?
I mean, John Legend is distancing himself from me and buying more Christmas sweaters in the middle of spring also. So I'm not saying that, they're making the right
Hilarious
decisions. She's being influenced, but I guarantee you what's not finna happen, we're not finna see her in one of them John Legend Christmas sweaters no time soon.
But do you talk to her? Are you still in touch with each other?
Wait a second, don't you think it's like funny to like make a joke out of stuff sometimes? Don't you think like God has a sense of humor?
Of course.
But watch this. God, when I got married, I bought this house. I did this tour and spent all the money I had on this house to like surprise Kim and give her this house that she wanted, that Lisa Marie Presley used to own. And then I got the house, and then I put all this money into renovation. And then there goes the neighborhood. Drake moves down the street 5 blocks. And that's when I knew God was funny. But watch, this is where God is even funnier. Here goes like Louis C.K. Part 2 level, because Louis C.K. is the funniest man alive. Uncancel him now, right? So and he was funnier before he's canceled because all he would do is type of jokes that you'd get canceled on, right? So, I got an office and, outside of Crenshaw, like in an opportunity zone. And this office, 57,000 square foot office, is the one that Tucker Carlson came to visit me at. And I look out the window, and whose office is being built, a brand new one? The Skims office. It's like, who's writing this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, God is funny. So that's the thing. We always got to be like, we got to be funny. We got to have a sense of humor, like,
But yeah, let me ask you.
There's a lot. Yeah.
But are you sad that you're getting divorced? Are you sad the relationship came to an end?
That happened 2 years. We got the divorce 2 years.
Yeah.
We're
Are you
Piers,
actually?
We've been got divorced. What are you talking?
Yeah. I mean, let me rephrase that. Are you sad that you're no longer together? That you're divorced?
We'll always be together.
That sounds like a crazy man.
We'll always be together. You're never going to leave me.
Interesting. That sounds like that. Now, I ain't saying that he, but that's what it sounds like.
She dresses exactly like me. What do you mean? Like my kids are me. There's no person that you
I haven't seen her dressed like that, man.
That will influence her more than God and then her priest on earth, which is me. Whether it's the Skims clothing line, the designers, the architects, all those people. You got the Clintons, the left, utilizing what we built together to try to use her as an influence for the black culture and the word culture in general for the next elections. They need those 300 million followers from Kylie and Kim on their side going into their election as they push trauma culture to the black people again, as they claim any of my questions of business.
Hey, let me, I need to put this out. Now, I'm wondering if YouTube is doing this because, well, I already know that covering this topic, it wound up getting me shadow banned. This I already know. And one thing I've noticed is I had likes on this thing, and all of a sudden, likes are disappearing off of here. I wonder if YouTube is doing this, but be sure to hit that like button. Here we go.
Business dealings, to be anti-Semitic comments, and push, Kim to, as a billionaire mother of a lawyer and a mother of 4 Jew black children, to do covers like Interview. And that's what happens when they take the dads out the home. And that's what they've been doing in the hood. They take the fathers and the leaders out of the homes.
I don't agree with that. You can't say they take. Because there are, listen, there are some that don't want. It's like, okay, if, like, who's really taking? Or is perhaps the mother just not accepting or feels as though she doesn't need the father in the home? Or perhaps there's so much tension that the father can't lead, or there's so many different things. It's not just them taking. Like, there's some culpability. Come on. But here we go. I know that that's unpopular. I know people don't want to hear that, but here we go.
And if we keep on allowing this to happen and we don't have some level of a decency clause inside of our media on what everyone sees, like when I was young and I would go to the video store, if I wanted to go into the adult section, it was a curtain, it was a person sitting there watching, making sure that kids didn't go in. If the kids went into that section, there was a video camera. And they would have you be escorted out of that section. Now that section is forced through TikTok. That section is subverted and kind of mixed with the drink inside of music directed at children, inside of content through Disney, on Hulu.
That's true. Disney has been in hot water for a long time. I don't know if you remember The Little Mermaid. Where they the initial design of the Little Mermaid, they had very like pornographic things. As a matter of fact, I think it was Aladdin. They made the castles look like a phallus. Yeah, they shaped them into a phallus. So you had to look at the design on the cover. It's like, what? And not only that, I remember Aladdin, there were little messages that they would put in there. I know one scene when Aladdin is up there and the tiger approaches him. If you listen very closely, you can hear, take off your clothes. So Disney was known, they got in hot water for including a lot of pornographic messages in their content. I think this was in the 90s when this really was came to the forefront. But here we go.
Which is Disney also. And in so many branded commercials to confuse children and to sexualize our children way too early before they can even make their own decision.
That's very true. I mean, you used to have to hunt for your parents' stash. Maybe luck up on. I remember, people would rip out little pages of like these adult magazines, and man, we would have all these little pieces and trying to figure out and see what we could see. But nowadays it's right there. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And then children have cell phones, unregulated access to the entire world and internet. I mean, you click on a movie and all manners of pop-ups come up. It's crazy. Yeah, it's everywhere. I agree with Kanye here. Here we go.
It's about their life.
You make some very interesting points. Again, just to clarify one thing, though, you are actually divorced, are you? Because my understanding was that you weren't actually divorced yet.
I ask God the same question some mornings. Am I divorced, God? Am I divorced? Because I might be divorced on paper, but I'm not divorced of the idea of being the protector of not only this person who is so influential. Imagine Kim making all of her decisions that she does publicly. Grown folks' business is grown folks' business. Never know what could happen with a little sippy or whatever. But, all the decisions that she makes publicly being based on an audience of one. And Piers, what audience do you think I'm saying that is?
Well, you.
No, not me. For us as Christians, right? Who is our audience? We have an audience of one.
Well, you mean God.
God. So picture this world, envision this world. Here's another one. This is past what I'm saying about having the heads of the football teams and the basketball teams and the music industry opening up their contracts the way I do, right? Picture the most influential woman on the planet, which is Kim Kardashian, right? And I got this one thing I want to definitely say in the interview. Picture the most influential person on the planet, the most influential woman on the planet, performing in public only for that audience of one, for God. Imagine the overwhelmingly positive effect that will have on the planet. And mark these words, it will happen someday.
Okay.
And I had this, of course I'm divorced, and this is like a funny thing I thought. Being that her name is no longer West, and my name is no longer Ye, being that her name is no longer West, and my name is now only Ye, if we were ever to be together again, what would our name be? Kim Ye.
Would you like that?
What the?
Everything is up to God. And God has proven to me many times that it's not about.
Kanye has to stop that. Yeah, he has to stop putting everything on God. Even the Bible, it says, I put, with Moses, I put before you life and death. There's a choice. Choose life. There you have choices. You understand? So yeah, it's like sometimes he's asking a question. He wants to know what Kanye would do, but you have a choice. You can't just say, well, everything's up to God. Well, no, you have a choice, dude. Stop running away from answering these questions by just throwing it to God. But here we go.
What I want or what I would like is just up to him on what he sees fit.
But
David had to.
But let me ask you.
tend to the sheep.
But do you still love
to the
Kim?
sheep? Sorry, not with an S.
Do you still love Kim?
I absolutely love. I'll love her for life.
Hell yeah, you heard him.
And I will protect. Oddly enough, I'll actually protect her, because when I call out things that I feel are wrong, you know what I'm saying? When I make products, like say the difference between me and Bernard Arnault, like say, watch Elon Musk. Every product. The reason why Elon Musk is like a Steve Jobs is, if he makes a flamethrower, he would use that flamethrower. If he makes a Cybertruck, he would use that Cybertruck. Me, if I make some 3D printed boots, I'm gonna have the 3D printed boots on.
Wow,
and
I love
wear them
those.
every day.
Can I get a pair of those?
Absolutely, sir.
They would
Tucker
really
liked
suit
them
me.
also. These boots are a hit.
Love those.
Yes.
They look fantastic.
Yeah.
Would you like to one
you
day?
very much, sir.
Do
But
you
see them
think,
big
given
giant
that you've
rain
got
boots, man?
all
Come
these
on,
kids
man.
Together, would you like?
Would you wear those rain boots? Them big, gigantic rain boots. Stop that madness, man. Come on. Damn. Well, I would, but I wouldn't wear them for fashion.
Like one day to get back with Kim, do you think? Do you feel like you've gone through a very tumultuous period, but that actually the love underneath it all between two people remains? And would you like to get back together?
Yes, he would.
Those thirst traps still be fire.
He would. You heard him on Drinks Champs. He definitely would. That way he ranted on there.
Is that
Do
a
you
yes?
understand what I said? Do you understand that language
I think so.
there?
I think
That
so.
language?
You better explain.
Something tells me that he's motivated sexually more than he is motivated for any other reason. The thirst traps. Uh-huh. Here we go.
Explain it to me.
What do you think those thirst traps still be fire means? Can you explain that to me?
Well, with my
Pierce?
rather
Explain
creative British
what
mind,
those thirst traps still be fire.
I would imagine it
With your
means that
creative, brilliant British man.
I would imagine it means you still fancy your ex-wife. Is that right?
That's the nice way.
You know, I would prefer to not be put on this. I would prefer to not be put on the spot on these kind of questions. What I could say is, God is alive, and He places people. He placed.
Here he goes again, running away from the question. He does this every time he doesn't want to answer a question.
David in to tend to God had David tend to the sheep, knowing that one day he would prepare him to fight Goliath. Mm-hmm. So I believe that day of me fighting Goliath has been this past 2 weeks. The media is Goliath. And there would be no chance of having a civilization or a civil democracy in America without me challenging the media 2 years out from the election. Because this thing that I'm challenging may be setting myself up to one day be able to be president, or it's maybe for the other president. But regardless, we have to have some decency in America as the thought leaders in the content that we put out.
But
and that's how
but on
God
that point,
is using me
yeah,
now.
on that point,
Yeah.
you keep talking about the media as if somehow it's the media that's created all this furore in the last 2 weeks. But you have said other things which, in my opinion, the media couldn't ignore. You know, you suggested in your interview with Tucker Carlson that Gap, for example, the clothing wear company, had prior knowledge of the Uvalde shooting, which is obviously completely insane. Why would you say that? And then why would you be surprised if the media then react to it? They're bound to.
What I'm saying is that was worded, that might have been worded in a way that the media could take in the wrong way. But I thought it was really interesting the amount of people at Gap. We had a release that was happening, and the amount of people at Gap that were rallying around this as a media moment, if they didn't know about that, where there's theories, you can't say that the theories about 9/11 are completely insane.
Actually,
that's just the
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, but that's a very, very, very unpopular conversation. The moment you mention it, you're against the troops. Here we go.
Person I am. I'm that kind of person.
Well, look,
that where there's theories, you can't say that the theories about 9/11 are completely insane.
Actually,
that's just the person I am. I'm that kind of person.
Well, look, you're perfectly entitled to have theories. I think most of them are completely insane. But on this specific one,
okay,
on Uvalde, you even suggested that Matthew McConaughey. You even suggested that Matthew McConaughey may have. It was all a bit weird that he.
Notice he's running from that conversation. Pierce does not want to tackle that conversation.
He was speaking so early about it when, in fact, he came from Uvalde and spoke very passionately after this atrocity. So I think people read these comments and are like, what are you talking about?
No, okay, so I'm not. What I'm saying is I definitely feel there was a major media push around that to create trauma and fear culture, because the amount of people, and this is not to be in any way, I care about people who have passed away and have lost loved ones.
20 kids were shot dead in a classroom.
Right.
20 children were shot dead at school.
So let me explain.
No one in the media is putting any sort of trauma into that. That is the trauma.
Okay, Piers, how often does that happen in my hometown?
Well, the 20 kids are killed in school in one mass shooting. As far as I'm aware, it's never happened in your hometown, has it?
Yeah, it does.
Not in one mass shooting.
Are killed in Chicago. I didn't finish.
Okay.
Let's not do this again.
Okay.
We reviewed how that goes.
I understand. You could talk.
At least 14 kids are killed in Chicago every week. Mm-hmm. And there's no media push around it.
There is, but it's more like, look at these animals sort of media thing. Here we go.
And that's my issue. When I was at Gap, there was no media push around the killings in Chicago.
But I would
And let
agree.
me
So look,
explain something.
I agree with you.
Yeah. A lot of the media coverage is like more. It's like more of a disparaging narrative. It's in there talking about, we're gonna go in there with the National Guard and we're gonna do all this stuff. It's like, but I don't really hear much about the solutions, about fixing a lot of things out there on the South Side. I don't really hear a lot of that in the national narrative. So, but here we go.
I completely agree. My youngest son has recently been at University of Chicago for a year, and there were 2 students shot in that time. I completely agree that there is never enough attention given to all the slaughter from gun violence in Chicago. Completely agree with you. What I can't agree with is any suggestion by you that anyone at Gap or Matthew McConaughey or anybody else had any prior knowledge of what happened at Uvalde. Of course they didn't.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying they did, but with the amount of attention that went, understand, I was jealous, once again. You feel me? I'm jealous that so much attention went in this direction, but doesn't go into the direction of Chicago when
Then
the
say
same
that.
thing
Say
and the
that,
same
yeah.
amount of people.
That's what you should say.
I'm not
Again,
finished.
Yeah, but
And
it comes down to the way
I'm
you
saying
phrase
it,
these
bro.
things.
Bro, hey, I just said it.
Yes.
Like I just said, you're not always going to say the things the right way, but at least I have the bravery to open the conversation. Your first sentence isn't your last.
I'll give him that. He definitely starts conversations.
Sentence. My first rap that I told wasn't my last rap that I told. And now that's the whole point. It's said. Once it's said, accept that it was said. I am the iPhone 20, right? I'm growing. I'm a hybrid. I'm updating.
Okay.
I'm constantly updating, and that's what we're supposed to do. You can't drag me back because you enjoy that, right? When you bring it up, I'm saying, hey, this is what I'm saying. I felt, this. Think about this. Have you ever heard the term premeditated murder?
Yes.
I feel like the George Floyd was a premeditated murder. That's my feeling based off of, and we never got to that in the beginning, but that's my feeling based off of the information I saw in the documentary.
I think it was a premeditated murder in the sense that I agree, but not for the reason you think. I think it was premeditated in the sense that policeman didn't give a damn about George Floyd's life, stuck his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and killed him. So but I know we don't agree about that. I don't want to go back over that. I want to ask you. I want to ask you, about something different.
I think the policeman was involved with it too, but not in the way that you think about it.
Right.
I think he was involved in a different way.
I think we'll have to.
I think he was also part. I think he was also.
Piers trying to run away from this conversation. Kanye West is still going to talk about it. Here we go.
Part of the setup.
Okay. Look, we're not going to agree about that. But
he's been moved. He's been moved. He's been.
He's actually trying to save Kanye right here.
He's been moved, and I need you to watch the documentary, and we could talk offline and then talk online again.
Okay.
Because what's not fair is for a white martyr like JFK to be analyzed 100 different ways, but then for a black martyr like George Floyd, for us to only accept the one way. That's like us only accepting the one way for the black vote.
Like I said
we have
to you,
the opportunity to look at it different ways.
Like I said to you, you are completely entitled to challenge anything, frankly. And I'm equally entitled to come back at you and say what I think. That's what a democracy is about. Let me ask you before I want to ask you one thing about your.
But look, no, I got.
Okay.
I
don't want to keep going back to that same issue.
The disparagement right there.
Yeah.
But look at the disparagement because I still had an idea. I don't like the word point. I had an idea that you didn't embrace right there. The martyr, JFK, we analyzed his death 100 different ways, right? But with George Floyd, he died that way. And then it's white people telling super brilliant, successful black people, you have the right. It's literally like on some Black Lives Matter, like your life matters, like, oh, your idea matters. But then shut up and we're not going to go back to it. No, we're going to unfold it. I need you to watch that documentary and I want us to talk line by line. I want to do because, look, I think that we're a good conversation. And now within the next 2 years, we need to talk a lot of times, right?
I would love to do
have
that.
This kind of thing.
Honestly, I honestly,
we should unpack.
Listen.
Yeah.
Let me say to you, I've wanted to interview you for years.
Yeah.
I genuinely mean it when I say I think you're one of the most brilliant, talented people that I've seen in the public sphere. And you have a lot of fascinating ideas, and you're incredibly creative, and you're completely entitled to your views. But I'm entitled to mine, and I think we've had some really interesting exchanges, actually. I want to just talk to you quickly before we finish about your kids and about you as a father. What kind of kids do you want them to be? What kind of values do you want to instill in your children?
I want my kids to finish their education. I know that my album was called The College Dropout, but when I look at the way, just like you said, your kids are in the University of Chicago, we need the education. That's another thing to be jealous about. The Muslims have the Quran, right? And Jewish people also have their holy books, but they have the education. And once we have the education, and we have the strong black minds, we need to pull them together. There hasn't been end-to-end black-owned communities since Black Wall Street or since the gentrification of Harlem. Like I have this tech company called STEM, right, that had the most successful launch in tech history with 80,000 STEM players. As far as a first launch, right? We sold 80,000 STEM players back in February, and we went off the Apple platform, and now we're coming with the next generation that has a projector in it, and it's coming with 4,096 movies. I did that because my Amiga computer had 4,096 colors when I was in 7th grade, and also you can download films without having to use an Apple product. So I called this guy, and we're working on finishing up elements of the deal, and he's using emotional bullying, and like his shoulders are down, you could tell on the call. And he says, well, because of your comments, we're not going to be able to hire people. It's the people that we need. And I said, well, how many people do we have working for us? He said 60, and we have 40 part-time. I said, well, how many Jewish people do we have? He said, well, I don't know. We have some. And I said, well, do we have black people working for us? He said, yeah. I said, how many? He said, 2. And I said, you're telling me we can't find 60 black engineers? Well, yeah. And see, that's where that comment that got me into so much trouble forced me to look at myself as the richest black man since Mansa Musa, right, with multiple tech companies. And where am I kicking the tires inside of my own company to ensure that I'm hiring my people? Because Chinese people hire Chinese people, and Jewish people hire Jewish people, and Catholics hire Catholics, right? But
is he the richest man since Mansa Musa? Or does he have the most net worth on paper since Mansa Musa? Is that what you're saying? Here we go.
blacks, we'll give our company to Bernard Arnault. We'll give our company to Mark Zuckerberg. We'll give our company away. And it would almost come off as anti-Semitic if I hadn't crossed that gun line so far to say, hey, I have to go and ensure that I'm hiring the brightest black minds to my black-owned tech company. You know, Kamala is our never again. We're never gonna just hand something over just because we like the way this person looks.
Who is weird? I mean, come on now. Yeah, I agree. But come on. Do you know how many debates that I've gotten into over this Kamala thing? I mean, yeah, but a lot of debates. And a whole bunch of people had amnesia. But here we go.
And we have the emotional connection because she was a Delta and my mom was a Delta. She got 96% of the black female vote. You would have thought Drake was running. And we haven't seen her really honestly since. And you know, I want to say something about
That's
the left.
true.
The left, you guys got to sit with me. Your current administration that these guys put up, they shit the pot on this one. They should have got Bernie, but Bernie had too much of a conscience. And so you got a guy with no conscience. Instead of getting Bernie Sanders, you guys got Weekend at Bernie's. And and you know.
No, let me tell you what messed Bernie up. Bernie's out there talking about, you know, following the dream of Dr. King. But then when the reparations conversation came up, which Dr. King was championing, Bernie is like, no, I don't agree. That's not a good idea. That's what screwed it up for Bernie. It's like, dude, you can't, he's not a buffet. Pick a little bit of this. I'll pick a tomato. Oh no, I don't want those vegetables. I'll pick a little bit of this, pick a little bit of that. No, if you're sitting there using the name, dropping the name in order to gain clout amongst black society, well, then when they mention his agenda, now you're running from it. So yeah, on one hand, Kanye is talking about this honesty, but there's a lot of selectivism in Bernie Sanders. A lot of people are running away from this intersectional, this all-inclusive sort of politics. It's like, no, you need to address us directly, the same way that you've been doing it for everybody else. And that's where he fumbled the ball. So here we go.
That you don't like where we're at right now. So we got to have a conversation going in.
When you listen,
on how to
I won't disagree with you about. I don't disagree with you about President Biden or Kamala Harris, for that matter.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about someone we haven't mentioned, Vladimir Putin, and what he's been doing in Ukraine. What is your view of that?
I do not believe in war, and I believe that there is ways that America could have avoided this war. But Biden has money. Biden has reasons for...
Wait, hold up. No. Question is about Putin. What are you talking about? You bringing it back to America? No, answer the question. Okay, let's hear. Maybe he has something at the end of this rant.
Us to be at war.
Let me rewind it.
This war. But Biden has money. Biden has reasons for us to be at war right now for selfish reasons. And what I would like to do, without giving you too much information, I would like to speak with my political advisors to give you the exact information. I'm not.
That is the wisest thing that I have heard Kanye West say during this interview. That is the wisest thing that he has said. He should say that more often. But here we go.
Hey, watch this one, Piers. I'm not going to shoot from the hip on this one, especially talking about war and things as sensitive as Ukraine and the Russian.
Look. Piers is nodding his head in agreement. And so he understands that. That's the wisest thing Kanye West has done tonight. Let me rewind it 10 seconds. Here we go.
Hey, watch this one, Piers. I'm not going to shoot from the hip on this one, especially talking about war and things as sensitive as Ukraine and the Russian war. No. We already got that the RETARD comment earlier that maybe we could work on that I feel like is going to be massively offensive, and I really do. Now that one, I do apologize to people that I offended earlier in the interview on that comment. Maybe we could look at scrubbing that if we deem.
Well, actually, I would say this.
Yeah.
It's an uncensored interview. You said something which you've now.
Yeah, Kanye, that's not getting scrubbed, player. Here we go.
Wished you hadn't said, and you've apologized. I actually think that says a lot about you, right? That shows you've got that ability to be self-aware, to understand.
Pause. Even though they did block out the N-word, but let's rewind.
You've now wished you hadn't said, and you've apologized. I actually think that says a lot about you, right? That shows you've got that ability to be self-aware, to understand when you cross a line.
Now, pause. Now, let me tell you something, how this was edited, because I did see this as a clip. It was edited to give the impression that Kanye West was apologizing for his tweet. That's what, when they edited this in the clip form, they put it out like Kanye West was apologizing for his tweet. That's interesting. Even though he wasn't, he was apologizing for using the word retarded. Interesting. That's interesting how they can manipulate the narrative. But here we go.
I think someone like you, with all your energy and creativity and your passion, you're going to say stuff. The way that you talk constantly and in such an extraordinary manner, you're going to trip up. You're going to say things the wrong way. I don't think there's anything wrong in when you do that, doing what you just did and saying, look, I'm sorry, I crossed a line, I apologize. It's actually quite empowering.
You know what I think? You know what I think I'll go ahead and do? I feel that I've given the platform, and I think by holding the idea of an apology hostage is not godlike.
Correct.
I feel like we have to free, and I think that's the point that you've been making. And because we sat down and had this conversation, I will say I'm sorry for the people that I hurt.
There it is.
With the DEF CON, the confusion that I call. I feel like I cause hurt and confusion. And I'm sorry for the families of the people that had nothing to do with the trauma that I had been through, and that I use my platform where you say hurt people. And I was hurt. I was frustrated. I was frustrated that Gap hadn't opened stores. I was frustrated that I spent time with a gentleman who I love him, his wife, his kids, David Simon, and to open stores. And then he called Bob Martin at Gap and said, I'm not going to open the stores. And I've just been frustrated. I just want to open my Whittle stores. And I want to say that it's wrong to hold an apology hostage. And I got to let go of that and free myself of the trauma and say, look, I'm just going to give it all up to God right now and say to those families that are hurt, I really want to give you guys a big hug. And I want to, I say, I'm sorry for hurting you with my comments. And I want to word it in not in like a political way, but in a presidential way, which means what I knew a president to be when I was growing up, in a sincere way. You know how people give those kind of, I want to give an apology, and you're like, but did you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, no, it has to be, I want to go to every person's grandmother and grandfather and every person's son and daughter, aunt and uncle, and give them a hug and say, you know what? I've been hurt. And I do want you to talk to your boys. I do want you to talk to the people that are in power, the people who do own the black voice, the people who do own the the vote, which a lot of Jewish business people do. And I want to be able to sit at the table with the contracts. I want my people to sit at the table with the contracts. I do want all of this, but I'm not going to hold my apology hostage till I get that. I'm going to start by taking accountability for my actions. And
this is interesting. During this interview, you can see Kanye West changing his mind. Now, one thing that Damon Dash said was, look, when there's someone that is displaying bipolar tendencies that then said that they were, diagnosed as bipolar, which Kanye West, there's a little bit of whatever, he takes issue with that, being that he said, no, he's sleep deprived or whatever. But Dame Dash was saying, look, you can't be surprised when there's someone diagnosed as bipolar that is displaying bipolar behavior, So, we could beat up on him, but, it's like someone that has Tourette's, that's just yelling out different things. There are certain exceptions that we give them. Now, do we give that exception to Kanye West, understanding that? Or do we look at Kanye West as well, yeah, but for the position that you're going for, you have to, you have to use some level of tact. We could criticize in many different ways, but how Dame Dash was putting it is, why do people act surprised? Anyway, let's finish it out. A couple more minutes.
And the lack of sophistication in my wording, like I said, I'm going to hold my apology hostage till I get that. I'm going to start by taking accountability for my actions, and the lack of sophistication in my wording, like I said, I was sleepy, and it was taken in a way that I didn't mean to be taken. It definitely caused some attention. But I don't want the conversation to go away just because I came to you guys and said, I understand how I hurt you, and I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused and the confusion that I caused. Now, that is said, right? But I don't want the conversation to go away that we are still in a place where these contracts are still up. My people are still getting screwed. This has to be opened up. And I'm not asking for a promise, but it would be a beautiful world as I release the pain that I've caused and the pain that I have in me, that grudge that I was holding, that you guys, some of you guys, 1, 2 of you guys step up and say, let's look at these contracts. Let's make it not be a known fact that the music industry is treacherous. Let's make because my kids, some of my kids do music. I don't want them to step into a treacherous place. I want.
Pause. Yeah. Now, I'm a musician as well. And I could tell you, the music industry, that is a cutthroat business. Oh, yes. Cutthroat, just like the way that boxing was, the boxing industry. Listen, yeah, I understand exactly what he's saying. I mean, just check out Michael Jackson and Prince's story. I mean, look, yeah, it's not a place for the faint of heart. Here we go.
To be better for them than it was for me. So I want us to sit down and come together and really work on that. Would that make sense to you, Piers?
You know what, Ye? If you'd simply said that in your tweet, I don't think there would have been any problem. And I'm very, very pleased, actually, that we've got to a place where you felt able to say that. And I think it was sincere. And
but we still have a problem. That's my point.
No,
Piers.
I get it. I get it. But what you've now done, you've now explained the context of the problem. And you also issued a sincere apology to people who were rightly offended by the way you phrased what you said. So I think that's a good place to finish the interview. And I'm very glad you got there.
Okay, but it's not finished.
I understand.
The idea is not finished.
I understand.
That there's still a problem.
I understand. No one's going to be in any doubt there's a problem. And by the way, I'm sure there is. I'm sure that a lot of the contracts in the music business are rigged against people like artists like yourself. I'm sure of it. I mean, it's always been the case from Elvis onwards. So I get
Piers,
it.
Would you help me and my people? Would you help me and my athletes? I got so many athletes that go to my school that are like all the guys that are on Donda are headed to the NBA, right? Could you help me? Could you help us make these contracts better for our people by calling attention, by just allowing me on your platform, right? And let's look at some of the things and point these things out. Could we work together on
Absolutely
that over the next
happy
couple of years?
Very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Very happy to do that. I think we should talk more often.
All right.
It's taken a long time to get here. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. It's been 2 hours. It's been free rolling. It's been occasionally challenging. But we've got to a place where I think is a good place. And I've really enjoyed it. So thank you very much indeed, Ye, for sparing me the time.
Yeah. You know I'm going to feel like I lost my stone I was holding.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I had to give it up to God. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You're gonna be bragging. You're gonna be bragging at dinner tonight. Like, yo, I talked to Ye. No one could do it. No one could do it. I did it. And I'm giving you this, and I'm gonna pray that you, as a fellow believer in Christ, will help me to expose all the wrong that's still currently happening to my people, specifically in the entertainment industry, because
honestly, I'm very happy.
To start with.
I'm very happy to
hold
anyone to account who is behaving improperly, honestly. And I'm absolutely certain that entertainment business is riddled with people who try it on and exploit people. And I would be very happy to help you to expose that. But for now, I've got to leave it. Ye, we've had 2 hours. It's been remarkable. Thank you very much for your time.
Peace.
Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. So, that was the Kanye West interview. Let me ask you something. Is there anything that you took from this conversation? Anything? Hold on, let me get my music back.
Oh, yeah.
So listening to that Kanye West interview, look, covering this subject matter, I have been shadow banned, I must say. Because I can look at the activity on the account, and it was the last stream, the one where Kanye West, I am Jew. It's always interesting when you tackle different subject matters to see the way that the algorithm and the rest of the world responds to it. As it is said, you know who's in control by who you cannot talk about. You know who's in control when certain subjects are off of the table for discussion, or when you're penalized for even speaking on certain matters. Well, Kanye West was essentially saying, listen, I said the way that I said it, yes, I see that I can hurt people that are not involved, but I don't want to take away from the issue that I'm really trying to shed light on. You know, it's like if you write a letter to someone, for instance, for example, I'm from New Orleans, and Hurricane Katrina. Oh man, that was a rough situation. But imagine knowing the devastation that was going to take place, and you decided to write a letter. But the letter had all sorts of misspelled words, curse words, and all manners of pejoratives, right? And a lot of time was being spent on getting you to correct your English, to correct the letter that you wrote. And you're like, listen, I understand that I misspelled words and that I said the wrong, but there's a message in there. The hurricane is coming. I remember the great Patrice O'Neal, how he put it. He's like, people are very quick to dismiss the words of a person that they have labeled as crazy. It said, if there's a guy over there rolling up doo-doo and eating it, but then he says 2 + 2 is 4, people will dismiss the fact because he's eating doo-doo. But it does not discount the fact that 2 + 2 is 4. So, is there truth in what Kanye West said? Is there? See, that's the question that a lot of us have to ask ourselves. Is it more important to focus on all where Kanye West is screwing up, or to look at the fact that he has a message and he also has grievances that he's asking for people to take a look at? He's not the only one that has had certain grievances. I mean, this is a common thing. We've heard it all over the place. But I will say this, that precision of speech is very important. But even when you are precise in speech, there are still certain entities that will take pieces of what you said and paste them and juxtapose them and next to different clips and mix your message up. And people will pay attention more to the flaw that you made rather than pay attention to the overarching message. Well, now, guys, I'm glad that everyone tuned in. I mean, because this is a space where we analyze. We don't really judge, we analyze, juxtapose them to wisdom, those that can impart wisdom. knowledge, culture, and history, and truth. And when we don't know what the truth is, this is why we analyze to get to the bottom of the truth or get a closer picture of what the truth may be. You know, none of us are perfect. And it's even harder for someone that is in front of the world, speaking to the world, like Kanye. I mean, constantly underneath a microscope. You know, that I understand. I mean, anyone can be driven to a state of mental fatigue. Anyone. Let's look at Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, he had to get out of the seat. He just said, look, I couldn't take it. I left. I went to Africa. And out there, nobody knew who I was. He was anonymous. He was just searching for some peace. You know, I mean, public speaking. I mean, listen, I will say this. Most people that were in Kanye West's shoes, they would have broken by now. I don't think that people understand how unbelievably stressful and burdensome it is to be a world icon. And when we criticize, I'll say this, that in the beginning, our fellow or those that identify with our community, we criticize with love in the beginning. But then when there is a tendency to just ignore everything that was told to you, every single issue that people said, hey, look, here's what you could do better. Here's what you could do differently. But yet you're just so hell bent on your own agenda. Well, then, you know, that's when it becomes more problematic. And that's when I'll say that black society will do one of two things. They'll either become very harsh toward you or they'll just abandon you and relegate you to the problem pile. You know? I did a production where I went in on Step and Fetch It. Talking about all the different problematic black people within black society, how historically people from all different places have come here and with problematic behavior, it reflected all black society as a whole. That's just how it is in the West. You see? Now, so with that in mind, there will be people that criticize you. And if they're from your community, you know, and you have aspirations of representing them, the first order of the day is to actually listen to what is being said. So, Kanye West displayed a profound understanding of words and the ramifications. Now, but I just say, you know, with patience, I believe that he'll be able to refine his message if he humbles himself, which, you know, Kanye West, he's a brilliant guy, self-described genius. And some of his creativity, I'll say, is evident that the man certainly is not your average guy. Now, I'm going to end this stream by playing just the introduction to a production that I did, which Kanye West was essentially alluding to. The idea of the power of the media. Here's where his point of contention is. A lot of people are saying this. And we can go through history and we can see how media can paint people in a disparaging light. Well, I'll play just the introduction to the production I did called I Am Media. So let's just together watch this brief introduction to perhaps what Kanye West was talking about.
Monsters. Do they exist? The man in the closet. The monster underneath the bed. The thing that lurks in the shadows that follows you home. Oh yes, we are quite familiar with the tales that are told to children in order to get them to behave. The tales of the consequences that will be brought about by dreadful, fictitious creatures that lurk in the realm of the unseen, that only show their face to the unfortunate. Tales that we often outgrow once we reach adulthood, and are no longer susceptible to such nonsensical blather as the boogeyman, or bogeyman to some. But what if there actually was a monster? A blatant one. One that was unashamed. No, not hidden in the darkness, not underneath a bed, but rather right there, smiling, often posing as your friend, feeding off of you, feeding off of all of us, having not only one face, but faces, interchangeable, never resting, never ceasing, sometimes truthful, but often found bathing in the pond of prevarication and imprudence. A giant with footprints both immense and minuscule. Who am I? Beckons the entity. I am media.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm only just going to play the intro. Now, I don't know if you guys even wanted to check out the entire production, but if so, let it be known, and I'll let it play, just so y'all can check it out. Matter of fact, why not? Let's go ahead and let the entire thing play. The 3 tactics of the media. Let's get back to it.
Tactic number 3. Dissuade the narrative. The tactic that is predominantly used in the early parts of a media campaign is to dissuade the narrative. Meaning, if you disagree with something, be careful how you express it on particular platforms, because doing so may result in penalization of some sort. An example of this is the demonetization of content when said content is rooted in dissent. Perhaps you won't be able to collect that nice passive income stream that you've got going. Perhaps the bulk of your business is disproportionately trafficked through the massive social media following that you've built, and now you're in jeopardy of getting your page shut down and losing it all because your political or social views are deemed toxic, damaging, or offensive to the sensitivities of the public. This tactic, once monitored by groups of individuals that would comb through infinite hours of content with public complaints attached to them, is now autonomous. A verdict is now rapidly deployed by algorithms set to trigger at a key word or set of words that gives it an idea as to what it is that you're talking about or texting about. When these algorithms are triggered, it is programmed to decide the fate of the content that you submit. The power to promote your campaign or bury it in the darkness exists in the all-powerful algorithm. This has many content creators afraid to use their grasp of their native language, and instead making up code words in order to trick the algorithm just so that they can get their otherwise benign point across without getting flagged for punishment. Dissuading the narrative is the early stage tactic. It is the tap on the wrist. It is a warning, or their way of saying, now, good little participant, you want to enjoy this thing here, right? Well, you're going to have to play ball. We're going to need for you to lay off with a chit chat about this or that subject because it's just so sensitive right now. And yes, we, at least on this particular platform, we are the arbiters which decide the sensitivities that are worthy sensitivities to protect and which to neglect. You see, we have to do this because there are certain unwanteds that utilize the giganticism of our platform for other things that we don't wish to be a part of. So, yeah, shut up and play ball. At this moment, you will have to decide whether or not to comply or to back off and re-strategize. Tactic number 2. Convolute or confuse the narrative. When the soft measure of dissuading the narrative doesn't seem to do the trick, one of the next tactics in the bag of media tricks is to intentionally play dumb or muddy the waters in regard to the motivation behind why you do what it is that you do. And they persist in sowing confusion despite any efforts made by you to correct the record. For example, if you wear a short sleeve shirt and cite your reasoning for doing so is because it's hot, but yet despite your reasoning, someone else says you're doing it because you want to show off your muscles and make fun of people who are out of shape. This is called confusing the narrative. Now, instead of being productive, all of your energies are spent correcting the damage done by the pseudo-narrative. And oftentimes, no matter how much you correct the reasoning or write it down and sell it on a t-shirt, even get the people that made up the false reasoning to repeat after you verbatim what your real reasoning is, after all of that, they still go right back to pretending that they never even heard you. And once again, they go right back to citing the false narrative that they made up about your reasoning for doing what it is that you do. This is because it is not in their interest to acknowledge your plight. And often, their understanding is quite intact. They know why you do what it is that you do. But their true plight is to create as much confusion so as to successfully plant the seeds of doubt and dissent in the minds of the simpleton, in order to curtail any momentum that may be obtained by potential supporters who are either uninformed or on the fence about your plight, or as Dave Chappelle may say, halt any chances of your plight reaching critical mass. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its power to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph Goebbels. Once a government is committed to the principle of silencing the voice of opposition, it has only one way to go, and that is down the path of increasingly repressive measures until it becomes a source of terror to all its citizens and creates a country where everyone lives in fear. President Truman.
You have to understand a bit about how propaganda works. Propaganda isn't just a bunch of lies. People think, oh, propaganda, I can spot it in a minute because it's just a bunch of lies. No, propaganda is a very sophisticated, it's half-truth, selected truth, and truth out of context is used not to sell just products, it's also used to sell ideas.
This leads to the final tactic. Number 1, silencing the narrative. It is simply that. shutting you down, shutting you up, removing the threat by any means necessary. When all else fails and all tactics prove futile, when your narrative is too strong and unwanted change is at the precipice, the final tactic is to rid the problem altogether. This is usually enacted through a set of sub-tactics to bring this about with as little collateral damage as possible. Sub-tactic number 1. Ostracize the Messiah. In this case, the so-called Messiah would be identified as an outspoken entity or person that has garnered the most momentum in the promulgation of any narrative or political effort or agenda alike, such as a news outlet or a front runner in the blood sport of running for political office, or even an individual whose dissent has gained them notoriety, or even a level of fame and cooperation from a large segment of society. A large enough segment of society that such influence has been deemed a credible threat to whatever the status quo or agenda that the current regime or powers that be do not want to see usurped or changed. The media tactic, ostracizing the Messiah, historically is a sign that danger is coming your way. It is meant to remove any support around you and leave you abandoned and vulnerable. Then garner public support or public indifference pertaining to your impending demise. This tactic, this sub-tactic, is
You must remember, dear people of America, that whenever government wants you to think and act in a certain way that would bring justification to an action that they are already planning to make, they must make the person that they hate a boogeyman.
And why they want to get rid of me? Because I'm saying something that might wake up some other exploited people and some other oppressed people. And if all these people ever get together, then these pigs that are exploiting us, we'll be able to run them into the lake. That's why they want to get rid of us.
I am media.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The 3 media tactics to destroy. Now, y'all could go and check that out or the channel. And hopefully, hold on, let me see here. Hopefully we can get some sort of straightening out, guys. Because listen, let me tell you. It's not easy to get out there and to speak the truth to power. Which is why I take my hat off to anyone that does attempt. But precision of words is considerably more important than passion. Well, hope that you guys enjoyed the production. I hope that this program was insightful and that we got to the bottom of something that perhaps was hidden. Hopefully, we learned something. Well, I already know that my channel now is being shadow banned. And, hey, that comes along with the territory. But it is what it is. I appreciate all you guys that have contributed with your commentary and coming into the live stream. Shout out to Alma Dixon Cider. That is one of the loyal ones, and ITJ Planet. And all of y'all who have come in to check it out. Be sure to hit that like button because I've been noticing that YouTube has been taking away my likes. You know, I have a habit of hitting the like button myself, and then I go back, and then my own like that I hit on the button disappears. So yeah, there's a lot of games being played. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, share, and leave a comment to override this algorithm. It thinks that it knows what the people want to hear, and so it regulates it accordingly. But be sure to override it yourself. And shout out to, let's see who, this is 6 King 9. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Guys, as usual, each one of us has a voice, and each one of us is a majority of one. Those who are on code with each other, that forms a collective. And that's where the power is. But speak out. And remember, never let anyone say, what? I said never let anyone control your narrative. Now, I need to be more specific with that, because a lot of people, they don't understand. Yes, you can correct a narrative, but there's a difference between having your narrative corrected and having someone control it. That's just you sitting by idly while someone else is telling your story, and they can tell it however they want to. See? But never let anyone control your narrative. Guys, hit that subscribe button, like and share. Till next time. Peace. Oh, yeah.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.